Here's Barkley, a little shovel, looking for an edge, gets it, Saquon, Barkley, first down, Barkley, oh! Saquon, touchdown!
Live from Radio Row for Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, this is 365 Sports.
First and 10, Hunt again, slips through, goes all the way for the touchdown!
Radio Row coverage is brought to you by Allen Samuels House of Travel, the official travel sponsor of 365 Sports.
Hurts, gets a shot, Hurts, in!
Super Bowl 59 coverage is also brought to you by Batteries Plus, Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine, TexasBeefHouse.com, Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Bird Culchin Ford, Ideal MRI, Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, Tradesman Services, Richard Carr Motors.
Rolling, Mahomes, he can keep it, he can get there, he's in for the touchdown.
365 Sports is produced by Garrett Ross and Emery Winter.
Design run, Hurts, delay, Hurts, in, touchdown, Eagles!
Now here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
Welcome in. I know that we are a little late starting today, and you'll see exactly why in a second. Actually, you probably see right now, we have three guests on the set. Smokey will join us here in a second, but Kyle Turley, BJ Ganem, Mike Smith with us, and BJ Ganem's been on with us a bunch. Kyle has been on with us a bunch, and Kyle, always great to see you, my friend BJ. Great. And now we have a new friend, Mike, here with us on 365 Sports, and we'll just dive right into it. Kyle, Sierra Delta and you working with BJ and Mike, this is such a cool program. I'm a dog lover. We have shelter dogs come in like every other week, and it's the best part of my week on the show when they come in and I get to just play with the dog for 10 minutes. And it's such a cool program because there are guys who are struggling and suffering, and you can match them. How did you get involved with Sierra Delta?
Yeah, man. The Super Bowl, these events are awesome. They bring people together, and the veteran community of the NFL and the military has been something that has really just been, I think, a shining example to people as to how we can really come together. All the support over the years, we've had football games that we've played in there that we used to do, flag football games with the veterans and the NFL guys and celebrities, and we've had some awesome opportunities. We're bringing that back hopefully next year as well. And there's some groups that have just been these stalwart groups that have stayed there from the beginning, and they're still here working to help resolve these issues. So anything that Sierra Delta has done, I continue to get behind. Obviously, the service dog opportunities, huge, program for people to be involved in. It's something that you could build communities around, and with what they're doing, it really speaks to that, giving the financial assistance to have somebody not only get a dog, but be able to have that dog trained and understand what is the right dog for me to have to be able to be in service of this dog itself and have the dog be in service of me. That's a relationship that only a veteran who has gone through this experience can really give back to the people. And Sierra Delta is just one of those amazing groups that continues to lead the way.
BJ, this is kind of your brainchild, right? Sierra Delta, and you did it. What about it spoke to you? Because as a veteran, you can't see it on camera. BJ's lost his leg.
Well, it's not lost. I know where it's at. It's right outside of Campbell. It just got blown off.
We want to get that guy next week.
We did get him. My guy's got him a week later. So.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah, he lost.
So BJ, where did it come about for you? Because you wanted to connect with other veterans who were going through what you were going through, or you knew and you wanted to find a pathway to it. So what was it about Sierra Delta?
Well, Sierra Delta is my expression of what I think we as veterans need, right? I was getting frustrated by all the ways that when you go in and ask for help, well, how disabled are you? I mean, I tell people, it's crazy. When you lose your leg below the knee, that's a 40% max rating. If you lose it above the knee, that's a 60% max rating. If you contract genital herpes, that's a 60% rating. If you have sleep apnea, it's a 50% rating. This is why we don't take government money. I'm done with it, right? We serve the country. We serve the people of the United States, right? I can really give a crap who's in office or what the laws say. And when we were over there, it was about each other. And we get back, I get it that people don't understand what it is that we did in the military, but they understand what dogs do for humans, because dogs and humans have been working together for 35,000 years. And when I got injured in 04, retired in 05, I was angry. I was angry that my career was over. I was angry that I was no longer a Marine. I did all the stereotypical things. And I just went further and further down into that dark place. And when I thought I needed to quit, it would have been better if on Thanksgiving night I would have been killed. I started rationalizing that thought, that depressive mindset. Now, my kids would be better, my family would be better, everybody would be better without me. But then I got to my dog, who was an old English bulldog. Bought him off Craigslist, my first convalescent leave. And he had no special breeding, no special training. His only talents were he can get slobber into places you thought were physically impossible to get slobber into and clear a room with his farts.
Did he ride a skateboard?
No, he didn't even ride a skateboard. I mean, he couldn't even do that right. But I still loved him, and he loved me, and he was always there for me, even in that dank apartment that we're living in as we're going through all those hard times. And when I got to him, I realized if I quit, if I check out, he's going to end up in a shelter and be killed like the other 800,000 healthy, trainable, and adoptable dogs we kill every year in this country. And that was enough for me to pull my own head on my ass and start putting one foot in front of the other and figuring it out. Improvise, adapt, and overcome, just like they taught us in the military. And figuring out that I don't need anybody else to try to help me. I need to help myself. And I started leaning on my fellow Marines, my family. And then we created Sierra Delta so that everybody could get this. We didn't want it to be based on whether or not you're hurt or whether or not you're poor. You want to love a dog, you want to continue to be of service, it's right there. Mike knows about it. He's not even a dog guy. I grew up a dog guy.
Yeah, so you're not a dog guy, but you benefited from this.
I was never a dog guy until BJ hounded me so much to where I almost didn't have a choice but to receive my dog Zeus. But the crazy thing is, like I've been saying, it wasn't until after I received Zeus that I really knew that I needed him. You know what I mean? Like just being in the military for so long and just that ego that we all have as men, that testosterone pumping, and he just allows me to be myself. You know, unconditionally. Like, no matter who I was, who I am, or who I'm going to be, I could have been an idiot yesterday, done some of the most ignorant stuff in the world, and my dog is going to greet me as if I'm everything. That's right. Every single day. You know what I mean? So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Kyle, I hear this, and I hear, like, a lot of overlap with NFL players. And, you know, you were one who's, I think, a great example of you kind of were already finding your purposes, like, during your career, but it still had to be hard, right? I mean, like, you had hobbies, you had things. I mean, I'm kind of bummed you didn't bring the guitar out today. We had that one year.
You guys got to just start keeping them here, man. I'll play it.
Yeah.
Hey, how hard it is to carry a guitar around.
This is New Orleans.
Bum leg, and I can't barely feel my right leg anymore.
Yeah. But how much of this, like, kind of attracted you to it, like, working with veterans and stuff? Because it is, like, there's so much overlap between athletes and the
100%.
military.
And, you know, I mean, a lot of us, guys who play sports come from areas where sometimes, majority of them, you have to. That's one way out, right? You come from these towns, everybody wants to make it, right? You know, what is that, right? And so depending the town you grew up in, making it is either sports or the military, and that's what happened to me growing up where I'm from. And, you know, my friends that didn't get the scholarship I got, they all went in the military. They joined the Marines. They joined the Army, the Air Force. I grew up by March Air Force Base. So, you know, the veteran ties. My mom worked at March Air Force Base as a school nurse at the school there on the base. And so we were always around this military aspect growing up in the town that I lived in. So I always had this, you know, affinity for veterans, because that's where I would have been if I didn't play football and it didn't work out for me. I was blessed with all this. Even when I got to the NFL, you know, the associations we have at the NFL Combine coming up here, you have every special forces recruiter there. You know, for these guys, if it doesn't work out, they'll come and talk to you. If you test in vision and all these other things, they came to talk to me about sniper school and this. My vision's off the charts. You know, of course, I'm the what they're looking for. Here's my card. You know, we're constantly getting solicited as athletes to be in the military until you make it to the NFL. And even in the NFL, I found that they're still doing that. You know, so the marriage that the NFL has had over the years, all the, the pride, all of everything that we show on these games and these big playoff games, especially Super Bowls, we're flying these American flags on this, and these guys are out here still, struggling. We have 22 veterans a day committing suicide. We have all these issues. We have veterans fighting on Capitol Hill right now for the just ability to use a plant that hasn't killed anybody. Please, can we? It's like we got to stop having these veterans beg for things. Right. We got to start being proactive, and that's where I got involved with Sierra Delta, because these are ways, just like I've done with retired players in NFL. If they're not going to do it, then we got to do it. And guys like BJ and Mike are just these unbelievable examples of guys committed to what it is this place is supposed to be about, right? Because at the end of the day, we're all got to be here for a long time. People always want to talk about, this life is so short. No, not really. You're going to wake up when you die real quick. Promise.
Yeah. So all right, real quick. So Kyle, you're a former Chief. Do you have, having played for 3 teams, I'm sure you have affinities for different ones in different ways. How do you feel about this game coming up on Sunday? Are the Eagles, could they Mahomes-proof this game? Because I don't know if anybody can.
I don't know, man. They're just on such a roll. The comfortable factor is just crazy to me. He's at the end of the game at the AFC Championship time. And I want to get 3, man. He's over there. You catch that little soundbite from Mahomes. It's like, this guy doesn't even think about anything but rings. You know what I mean? He's just a champion. I don't think he thinks about anything but greatness, at the end of the day, and everybody else is just trying to get there. And hopefully we get the Chiefs to get this 3rd one, and we can put Tom Brady to bed for a while. Maybe we can talk about the Chiefs for a bit.
All right, BJ, you guys, we all live in Texas, right? And our life is terrible right now because of the Cowboys. It's just rough. True. And I'm looking at an ex-player that if you didn't play with the Cowboys, you hate them, right?
Man, no, I grew up Cowboy fan, so unfortunately, I'm a Cowboy fan.
I'll tell you what, it's fun to watch Dallas and Chicago Bears lose because they do it with such spectacular.
Easy.
So funny.
Easy. We are on a Texas station.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mike.
Listen, I'm from Georgia. I do love Texas, man. Every time I go, it's a blast. And I like just piling on because it's Jerry Jones, man. He just needs to get out the way.
100%.
Mike Smith, BJ Ganem, Kyle Turley. Always Kyle's one of the best guests on Radio Row. BJ's one of the best guests. And now Mike, BJ, this is your –
yeah, man.
Listen,
Mike,
if you're Batman, he's Robin.
Yes, right.
That's it. You can't go anywhere without him.
Right,
and then Kyle is just a really –
I'm always here.
He's a really big Alfred now.
He's a great coach, too.
He's Alfred who could break you in half.
That's right.
Somebody's got to do it.
We're going to take a break, get Smokey back in his seat here in a second. This is 365 Sports.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Collision Ford. It's that time of year. It's football season. Bird Collision Ford is a proud supporter of the best high school football right here in Central Texas. BK Ford is proud to sell the #1 selling truck in Texas, the F-Series truck, 47 years in a row. Come see the largest showroom in Texas and experience better at Bird Collision Ford.
Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533. Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC. Alan Allen Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Allen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Rolling, Mahomes, he can keep it, he can get there, he's in for the touchdown.
Live from Radio Row for Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, this is 365 Sports. Radio Row coverage is brought to you by Allen Samuels House of Travel, the official travel sponsor of 365 Sports. Now, here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
All right, I don't know if I'm going to be here much today. I'm still suffering. Some of you have noticed. Appreciate David Carter reaching out to me and others who have reached out to me about this absolutely almost like searing pain in my left shoulder blade. I got an injection yesterday, and I felt great the rest of the afternoon. I got an injection. It was actually in my left hip. I've had this for about 5 or 6 weeks, and it is literally, it can be almost crippling. I'm okay. There's no special formula for it. It might be a nerve issue. I just reached out to my doctor in Waco again. But Paul did of course, BJ Ganem. God bless him. Yeah. Oh, my Lord.
No, I got to meet Mike last night at the media party, the guy who was sitting right next to me. Funny guy.
Great athlete. He was in the flag football game, that Wounded Warrior, and he's one of the dominant players. One arm.
Absolutely. He was in the military for 11 years more after he lost his arm.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean,
now we have the chat room. Some of you have even called yourselves degenerates. Now, most of the time when you think about that, it's like gamblers, right? Yeah. You're a gambling degenerate or whatever, degenerate gambler. So we got all sorts of segments, including, by the way, Paxton, I know you are a huge fan of Jaylen Ford when he's at Texas. We have him and a bunch of other good stuff. However, how many people have watched Paige Spiranac? She does golf videos. And she's kind of gone viral. She was running around Radio Row.
Yeah, we're going to test your classiness right here, everybody.
Me?
No.
The
chat room. We're going to test it out here. We're going to test it out. I'm worried Paxton might pass out.
Paxton's going to lose himself.
I'm worried more about the guys about 60 and older. So she's been promoting her golf videos. She wasn't here to promote anything else other than just she had started covering the Super Bowl. She's become an Instagram model and star. And so Paige Spiranac sat down with Paul and me today here in New Orleans. We are joined by Paige Spiranac, and she's been at Super Bowl week. She was at Media Day, learned a little bit about the ins and outs of that, right? And of course, a rock star when it comes to Instagram, golf videos, and much more. And thanks for your time. What has been this experience? What's this been like for you?
It's really interesting because when I do digital content, I'm normally on a golf course by myself with my camera, or I'm just in my house shooting content. And so to see all the different types of media and everyone here, it's been really exciting to see, and just being around this energy.
How long you've been playing golf? Like your whole, like a long time, right?
So I started when I was 13, which is kind of late for being a golfer. Kids are now popping out of the womb with a plastic golf club in their hands. And I was actually a competitive gymnast before I switched over into golf. And so I had a bit of a late start. But yeah, I've been playing since I was 13.
Could you ever have imagined?
No.
I mean, you know the question, right? And it's not like you haven't been asked that before, but literally, it's just exploded. It's viral. What you do, your videos. What's that been like?
It's been so incredibly weird and amazing, and I never expected it. When I started doing this 10 years ago, this was not a career path. And so I basically had to figure it out. And it started out of necessity. I needed money to finance my golf career. It's really expensive to try to pursue professional golf, especially as a woman. And so companies were reaching out to me after I went viral. And I never really sought this out or tried to do this. It just happened to me, and I took advantage of it, and then it snowballed into what it is today.
For someone that says, well, you can't play. Well, I've seen you can play. I mean, you're competitive. What were the sponsors' reactions to that?
So I played junior golf and then had a full ride scholarship to play Division I golf, and then I played professionally for a year and a half, and everyone was pretty excited about it from a sponsor perspective because I did have already kind of a built-in following from, I went from having 500 followers to 100,000 followers overnight. And so that's really, appealing to a lot of brands. And the fact that I was trying to play professionally at that time was a bonus. It wasn't for me. It was really hard to balance both. And there was a lot of public scrutiny over my brand and the potential partners who wanted to work with me over more deserving players who have, grinded on the tour and have major wins. And so that was difficult to manage and kind of work my way around. But I'm much better suited to doing media work compared to playing golf professionally.
So where do you see the career going? Like, what's your goal? Would you like to be calling majors and doing those things, like straight up and down broadcasting those things?
It's funny. I never say never to anything. And that's been kind of my career motto. I think if I originally said, hey, I want to do traditional broadcasts when I started getting into media work, this wouldn't have been what it is today because I took a very different path than most people, and I did decide to pivot. I also don't know if I have the training or the skill set to do traditional broadcast. It's incredible what they can do, and I have a talent of connecting with a lot of people, and that might be more digital, but 10 years ago, if you said, hey, this is where you'd be, I would have laughed in your face. And maybe 10 years from now, I might be doing something totally different. Social media is the wild, wild west. You never know where things are going to go. And I would love to be able to do that at some point in my career. But it just goes with the flow. I mean, I wrote a children's book. I did all these other things, and it's just crazy what happens and comes to you.
So do you have plans? Like you have, okay, I'm going to do this video, or does it come to you that morning, or is it the night before? Is it planned, or how do you go about doing all that?
A lot of my content, if you follow, is very silly and sarcastic, and it's basically a big parody of how people view me. And so either it's inspired by a comment that someone made or what's happening in the golf industry at the time, and it really just are these ideas that pop into my head. I'm like, oh, I can do something with that. For example, the question that I get asked online is, are you a stripper or a golfer? And so I created this entire fake doc of me becoming a stripper. And it was this really silly video of me becoming Sandy Mounds. And it was so funny, and it's just a play on, how people view me. And that's really what I like to do with my content, is just have so much fun with it. I don't take myself seriously, clearly, at all.
Well, that's the best thing when you get a stupid question like that, is to just lean in.
Exactly.
And you know what? Okay, all right, fine. All right, let's just lean into this. Okay, who is we are both huge Tiger fans for a long time. And now it's the golf league, it's winding down. I would like you to help us pick a new favorite.
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I think that Tiger doesn't just move the needle, he was the needle.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think we were always going to see a bit of a decline when he wasn't playing week in and week out and really just doing the Tiger things that we know and love. There are so many incredible golfers on tour. The talent is so deep. Max Homa is a personal favorite of mine. He has an amazing personality and struggling a little bit with his game right now, but he is such a fantastic ball striker, and I think once he gets, like Xander Schauffele, once he gets that first major win, the floodgates are going to open for him. Xander Schauffele is another one where he has a very dry sense of humor. We played golf together at San Diego State, and I think a lot of people originally would say, he's a little bit boring, he's a little vanilla, but he's super sarcastic, and that is coming through a little bit more on the TGL. I'm a big fan of Rory. I think sometimes he gets unfair criticism, but he is very outspoken. He always gives an opinion, and he's really fun to watch. I mean, I could keep going. There's Joel Damon. I mean, there's so many.
Damon's story is a great story.
There's so many amazing stories and so many amazing golfers, and so it's hard when you're in the thick of it in the golf industry and hearing the commentary that professional golf isn't cool anymore, or if it's not working anymore. And it's like, no, you just have to take the time to get to know those players. And they're more active on social media now, too. So you have more of an opportunity than ever. Yeah, for sure. He really leans in, which is so great.
And he's grinding. He's great with feedback with the gallery and the fans on social media. You have a sense of humor. Some people don't. And what you're doing, you have exploded nationally, internationally. Has anyone ever hurt your feelings?
When I first started doing this, yes, of course. And I realized that it was based off of my own insecurities. And so when someone would make a comment on something that I was insecure about, then it hurt a little bit more. And so you have to take the time to do the work to love yourself and be confident.
Absolutely.
And I've also understood too that when I put content out there, it is to get a reaction. It is to start a conversation. And you want 70% hate and 30% love to actually grow. And I think those conversations are really healthy, and I'm able to deal with it. And I've come to terms with what I do, and that's just part of my job, and I don't mind it.
I wanted to compliment you on that, because I have followed some of your videos and seen some of the reactions, and I think you've done a great job in handling all of it and enjoyed with a beautiful smile.
Thank you.
And enjoyed a long,
it's
and
so
you have a hell of a swing.
When you think about it, it's like people take golf so seriously, and especially social media. I am hitting a ball with a stick. It's not that deep and it's not that serious, and I like to have fun with it, and some people will get it and some people won't. But if you see my content from the lens of that it's a parody of myself and I'm in on the bit, then you get it a little bit more. But if you look at it and be like, oh, this girl is very full of herself, and it doesn't come off quite right if you think that I'm being very serious about it.
People have to follow you and also watch what you're saying and what you're also accomplishing. Thank you so much.
Thank
Great
you.
to have you on.
I appreciate
Paige Spiranac with us on 365 Sports. She was at Media Day, learned a little bit about that. We're in New Orleans. Back in a moment.
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgan Ford. It's that time of year. It's football season. Bird Colgan Ford is a proud supporter of the best high school football right here in Central Texas. BK Ford is proud to sell the #1 selling truck in Texas, F-Series truck, 47 years in a row. Come see the largest showroom in Texas and experience better at Bird Colgan Ford.
Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533, Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC.
Jaylen Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Jaylen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Rolling, Mahomes, he can keep it, he can get there, he's in for the touchdown.
Live from Radio Row for Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, this is 365 Sports. Radio Row coverage is brought to you by Jaylen Samuels House of Travel, the official travel sponsor of 365 Sports. Now, here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
All right, Smokey's off to the infirmary, and we are awaiting our next guest. I've got to look and see what he looks like.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because this cat that just walked by looked like he has a fashion jacket on. I was thinking maybe that was him, but I'm not sure what this dude looks like.
Yeah, we may have to send Emery over to, figure out if that's him. So I'm on the Wi-Fi here, so it's terrible.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi's horrible.
But I don't know what he looks like. So Emery, if you could Google Andre Julius, who's supposed to be our next guest, who's a fashion designer here on Radio Row. We had a wild, so we started late. The reason we started late,
I think that was him.
Yeah, okay. The reason we started late is things get kind of crazy here. People start running late and they move it around. So earlier today, we had, and you'll see this today or Friday, I'm not sure, but DJ Dozier. You'll be today. So DJ Dozier, you'll see that interview. We had that earlier today. We were supposed to have him at 3:15. We're supposed to have Kyle Turley and BJ Ganem at noon, and we're supposed to have Paige, who we're going to talk about in a second with you just rude men. We're going to talk about that in a second, and we were supposed to have Paige at 1:15. Then Paige got moved to 3:15. DJ Dozier got moved to 12:30. Kyle got moved to 3 o'clock, and it was just
and all. And then Paige got moved again.
And then Paige got moved again up earlier. So they said, "Can you do 2:50?" And we're not dumb enough to say, like, no, we don't want that interview.
Right, yeah.
We're like, you know what, whatever.
People need it.
We'll make it work. It's not like we're on, like, a network station where we're hitting the top of the hour and all that. And so that's how that came about. So we were a couple minutes later. We finished Paige's interview at about 2:58. Garrett has to, like, take the show live for a second, which you see every day if there's just kind of the graphic and the music playing. So we had to get the show set up live. Then we had to get all three of those dudes, Mike and BJ and Kyle, set up so that we could start the show and do that interview and get them out the door.
Hell of a turnaround.
And so it was a lot. It was a lot. Also, I'm going to say this. This is something that happened that people, I think, need to know about. We left a battery charger.
My fault. I was sick. I was almost dying. I had the flu.
Yeah.
And I was not in my right mind.
Yeah.
And we got to about Hillsboro, and I'm like, I woke up. I was asleep. And I was like, Paul, I think I forgot the damn batteries.
Yeah.
I was like, my bad.
So here's what I did. And this is going to be my attack on a billionaire for the week. Jeff Bezos, you're on my list. So there are, and this is Jeff Bezos' fault, among other people, but there are not camera restores in New Orleans. Okay, they're not camera stores in New Orleans, and this is one of the, like, biggest tourist attractions in the world.
I know.
So it makes no sense to me that we have no camera stores here. So at first I was like, hey, Emery, look up camera store in New Orleans. And guess what? There's not any that carry what we need. So he was able to find the batteries and the charger that we need on Amazon. And they said, hey, here's the thing. The miracle of Amazon, you can have it overnight. It'll be at your house between 7 and 11 on Monday morning.
Yep.
So I made Emery stay at the house for 5 hours. They didn't have to stay alone in the house, actually on the balcony of the house, which is awesome that we have.
It is awesome.
On the balcony. Well, the candles got here. You've seen the candles from Tyler Candle. They got here on time. Then the little stupid line that is, like, out for delivery just keeps kind of creeping along and creeping along and creeping along. And then it's, like, right there. So Emery and I are talking like it should be there in a minute, should be there in a minute. 11 o'clock comes and goes. 12 o'clock comes and goes. And I was like, forget it. It just says, and then all of a sudden it says it'll be delivered tomorrow. So then I wake up this morning to check it to see, because it's now off tomorrow and we're on to the next day. It says your package may be lost. So we have made this battery work. We found a charger at Best Buy today that works ish. It's there, but that has been, there's always one thing, and I've always been able to solve it until today, and I'm just so mad because the package was on a truck out for delivery.
It was there. It showed it was coming.
It was coming. It was on a truck out for delivery, and then it just disappeared into the friggin' ether. So you're also going to see Kenny Mayne today.
Yes.
We had Kenny Mayne. It was so funny. He's very foul-mouthed. He's doing stand-up comedy now, and I support that wholly. But Garrett, let's go ahead and take a break right here, and then we'll find out what's the deal and why our guest is 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
So, which is fine. We needed a little breathing room. But Andre Julius is coming up in a minute, I think, and we're also going to have former TCU lineman Marshall Newhouse. Here live at 4:15. We're going to have Chris Myers from Fox Sports, play-by-play. He's going to be sitting right here at 4:45. You'll also see DJ Dozier and Kenny Mayne and
Pat Carter and Marcus Harper.
Pat Carter and Marcus Harper. That's all coming up. Pat Carter, look, if you don't like Florida State, just turn that interview off, because we're the same. We're both legends from Tallahassee. This is 365 Sports.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
If you want quality and personalized service for all your air conditioning and heating needs, call Tradesman Services. They're a family-owned and operated company that has served Texans for over 30 years. Tradesman offers maintenance plans starting at just $12 per month and a free service call for all new customers. They're also experts in geothermal design, installation, and service. Visit them online at coolingwaco.com.
Cars priced right, day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
Alan Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Alan Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Here's Barkley, a little shovel, looking for an edge, gets it, Saquon, Barkley, first down, Barkley, oh! Saquon, touchdown!
Live from Radio Row for Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, this is 365 Sports. Radio Row coverage is brought to you by Alan Samuels House of Travel, the official travel sponsor of 365 Sports. Now, here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
Welcome back. Paul Catalina going to fly solo. You'll see plenty of Smokey today. Don't worry. But he, again, he's poor guy. I mean, he's just been.
I feel bad for him, man.
He's been suffering.
I've done my part. I have looped him up every morning, rubbing this cream in his back.
And his back.
In his back.
And his back. Also, like, I know, like, you say that, and you know, we just had Paige on.
Yeah,
so
I know,
like,
I know how people are.
Yeah.
But I have to rub Smokey down on his back and try to put all those little patches on him. We were trying to help him, man, but
yeah. So so we've had a wild show today so far. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. But again, we can talk about some actual sports, and let's talk about the game. Let's start with Jalen Hurts, media night the other night, talking about the addition of Saquon Barkley and what it means to this team.
2020 Super Bowl, you ended up being the leading rusher. This year, the rushing attack has been in the league. You're going up against one of the best rush defenses. Is it nice to have that pressure taken off of you to scramble and run with Saquon, the offensive line, playing how they are?
No, I think he's here so we don't have to be in that situation again.
Jalen's different about yourself this year compared to 2 years ago. What have you learned?
I'm sorry?
2 years since your last Super Bowl appearance. What is different about yourself now from 2 years ago?
Just the growth and the time. You know, there's always, I mean, every day there's a new lesson and learning opportunity in every day. And thinking about all the games we've played since then, all the moments we've had, all the opportunities we've had, just being a more mature person, growing, better leader, all of these things that I've been able to push myself and push the threshold of my whole entire career.
So there you hear it. Look, any quarterback should be better with Saquon Barkley. I know that wasn't necessarily true for Daniel Jones and the Giants, but they were just so bad. But when you have a guy who I think doesn't get enough due, like Jalen Hurts, I don't think he gets enough. Now I think people like to nitpick about things about him. The dude has done nothing but win from Alabama to Oklahoma and on and on and on and on. So let's not get it twisted. This dude's a winner, and you put another superstar back there with him, that's just going to explode. And the Eagles were smart enough to see this. Now, there were probably been a couple other organizations that would have been smart enough to see it too. One of them does not live in Dallas, but I honestly think that Washington would have gotten involved had they gotten a chance.
Well, I mean, Brian Robertson's coach.
Yeah, but I mean, like, here's the thing:
different, though.
you get if you have an opportunity to get Saquon Barkley, you're going to go try and get him. It really wouldn't have surprised me to see a lot of like some of the upper echelon teams or teams that are like right there away. Like that's a move that the Rams make, right? Like that's kind of the move that the Rams would make, or something like that. But the Eagles make it better, and the Eagles know how to work the cap so well.
Yeah, they do.
That like it wasn't a problem. As where the Cowboys look up. Every morning and like confused as to how this could go the way that it went. So, anywho, I think this is going to be a slobber knocker for Super Bowl because of Saquon Barkley. And the Chiefs defense stops the run pretty well.
Yeah.
Except this is like one of those things like when you look back to Texas and Arizona State.
I was about to say that.
When you think about Texas and Arizona State, like, sometimes there's just a plus dude. He's just plus.
Different.
Like he's more. And that's where we are when it comes to Saquon Barkley right now. He is absolutely in the best era of his career, and he's having the best season of his career behind the best offensive line he's ever been allowed to play behind. And it's a credit to the Eagles for doing it so like I sound like I'm an Eagles fan. I'm just recognizing like how well they've done it in relation to most of the rest of the league.
Yep.
I mean they are like, but I mean you turn around every year, and the reason is because they know how to roster build. It's the Eagles, it's the Ravens, it's the Chiefs. Those teams are always
in the mix.
Yeah. The 49ers would have been in the discussion this year, I think, had not been for the injuries that they had, but they know how to roster build. What did the Commanders do? Like,
finally, confidence.
They went and got somebody from the 49ers. I wish the Cowboys would go get somebody from the Eagles. I really do. The Ravens were at the top. People have gone and poached people from the Ravens. That's what they do because they know how to consistently
just look at this year, right? Like the Lions are going to have to replace both of their coordinators because of the same situation. So,
but they'll know how to do it.
They'll
like
know how
Dan
to
Campbell,
do it.
I guarantee you, there's people again, he promoted up. Like people lined up to work with him. So, I don't know. It's just how you do it over and over and over and over again. Emery, just tell me what's going on.
I don't know who the runner is.
And
he's in an interview right now.
Okay. All right. Well. All right. Well, we're good till 4:15, but anyway. So, all right. So sorry about that. We're just trying to figure out. Again, 20 minutes late now, and we were on time. We made a lot happen, and then something happened here. So if we don't get it, we don't get it. We have too much other good stuff to worry about. In fact, I shouldn't even told it. Like if they come here, then we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Marshall Newhouse coming up here in about 25 minutes. Let's talk about Travis Kelce. He doesn't have much longer left. He's 35 years old. He's already, you can see, new heights. Acting gigs, game shows. He's positioned himself well for life after football. Taylor Swift, all those things. But especially the way you've seen he's played down the stretch. His yards are down a little bit. His speed's down a little bit. His touchdowns in the regular season were down. But guess
he's
what?
a first down machine.
But playoff time, what happened in that championship game? What happened?
That came up clutch.
Came up scoring. That's what he does. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And everybody wonders how much longer Travis Kelce has.
Will I be in 3 years? Oh man, I don't know. Hopefully, still playing football. I love doing this. I love coming into work every day, and I feel like I still got a lot of good football left in me. But we'll see what happens. I know I've been setting myself up for other opportunities in my life, and that's always been the goal, knowing that football only lasts for so long. You got to find a way to get into another career, into another, profession. And I've been doing that in my off seasons, but for the most part, I plan on being a Kansas City Chief and playing football.
Yeah. And look, I don't see any reason. I've heard a lot of people like, well, Taylor Swift's going to want him to settle down. This is a girl who just went on a 2.5-year worldwide tour.
Yeah.
She's not settled down either.
No. They're going to travel the world They're going to have plenty of time.
And you know, I too hope those crazy kids make it. I'm not a hater. I really do hope so, that they make it. But, yeah, I mean, again, the fame part of it clouds things because he's now not just like sports famous. He's
worldwide
famous.
famous.
He's famous.
Yeah.
Like he's famous. He's dating the most famous person in the world right now in Taylor Swift. So that's a lot. And willed it into existence too. So impressive.
Talk about shooting your shot.
Yeah.
That cat.
Absolutely willed it into existence. Yep. And so I hope, you know, I hope we can see him play another couple years. Yeah. I don't know, you know, if he's going to be 38 catching passes anymore, but
I doubt it.
Like everything's going to be year to year. It was the same way with his brother. It's the same with everybody. Like you get to a point, like, you know, Jason wanted one more run at it. They had the Super Bowl. They had a fantastic game. Mm-hmm. You know, Travis came out on top, but Jason still got his ring a couple years before. I was at that game, and I just remember like fans from Philly and Boston, like you're worried about the city of Minneapolis in different ways. It's like the people from Boston are gonna be like, nah, go to hell, this sucks, and then like the Philly guys are, you know, just gonna tear it up. But it was also minus 12 in the game end, so they're like, nah, it's not. It's a bit cold. Let's take a break. I think he's standing up now. He might be coming over here. So we got to get this one in before 4:15. So let's take a break. When we come back, hopefully our guest will be here. This is 365 Sports.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533. Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC.
Experience the excitement of Truck Month at Allen Samuels, the perfect opportunity to drive home a true champion. The Ram has earned the prestigious title of 2025 Motor Trend Truck of the Year, and we're marking the occasion with unbeatable deals on new Ram 1500, Ram 2500, and more. Whether you seek power, luxury, or extraordinary capability, Allen Samuels has the perfect truck tailored just for you. But these deals won't last long. Allen Samuels, your trusted truck partner.
Come by, let's be friends.
There's Barkley, a little shovel, looking for an edge, gets it, Saquon, Barkley, first down, Barkley, oh! Saquon, touchdown!
Live from Radio Row for Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, this is 365 Sports. Radio Row coverage is brought to you by Alan Samuels House of Travel, the official travel sponsor of 365 Sports. Now, here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
Kenny Mayne. We've had Kenny on the show many, many times and is in town. Of course, Super Bowl week, but stand-up comedy tonight, huh?
Why not?
Or not?
So the background on it is I made a little short movie. We're also showing a movie, which we also showed at Kimmel's in Vegas. So I made a 30-minute comedy documentary called Wiffle Ball. It's on Fubo Sports right now. And it's about a day with Ken Griffey where we threw wiffle balls as a rookie, and I'm like 28, 29, somewhere like that. So all these years I've told people I beat Griffey throwing a wiffle ball. He brought it up to me in Seattle a couple years ago, like, I ain't talking about that wiffle ball. You know, pretend like it never happened, right? So I'm like, if he's thinking of Ken, one of the greatest players, he's like the Willie Mays of our generation, right?
Yeah.
And he brings up wiffle ball from 34 years previous. I was looking for something to do, and I just decided to make a funny documentary. I got Ken Burns in it. I got the president of wiffle ball. I got a science professor, whatever I did, old footage of Griffey. And what I concocted was, what if I did a show about my childhood leading to this wiffle ball movie, and it's an hour, there it is. Because I don't think I have an hour in me. It's funny, though. I did Q&A for almost a half hour. I probably went too long. And that was easier than the stand-up by far. I just react, you know, you ask a question, you know. So we'll see. Tonight, I think I'll be better. Day 2 is usually better than day 1.
At Caesars Hotel, correct?
Yeah. We're doing an event for my foundation, Run Freely, which, as you know, helps veterans with leg devices. And no charge, just telling everybody I see, telling you, telling the next guy. If the custodian at the airport doesn't show up, that means I didn't do my job.
That's exactly right.
He should be there, and his family.
That's
and I always
exactly
say,
right.
bring your rich friends, because we're not going to charge, but at the end, I'm going to tell a more serious story about why we're in this mission. Guys, give a penny, give $1, give 500, you know, whatever you can afford, or nothing. Just tell. If you don't give anything, tell somebody else.
Kenny, when I saw this, I thought it made a lot of sense because you've done a lot of comedy when you were at ESPN, when you're on SportsCenter. I think that when we had you on, when you left ESPN, we talked about how you were essentially the pilot for Parks and Rec because of that whole cast was with you, and that was being around joke writers, writing it on your own, like having a writing crew. But writing SportsCenter jokes is not, and like bits, is not unlike stand-up, is it?
No, I mean, I always say I ended up doing for a career what got me kicked out in the hall in 5th grade.
Yeah.
You know, you're sitting there, something happens. What's the stupidest thing I can say right now to win the room, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Bell didn't think it was funny. I was in the hall quite a bit.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's true, though. Like, I always took serious things seriously. I report on real-world events, sports, you know, everything from deaths to crime to whatever. But the rest of it, guys are playing basketball, and it's funny to say something as he dunks as opposed to he dunked. Right?
Yeah.
You come up with your little side remark. But it was, I think the difference is going to a comedy club, it was like there's sort of a requirement that is funny there, whereas SportsCenter, there's no requirement that is funny, right? But if you are funny, it's funnier because it's unexpected.
How much of your what you did on SportsCenter was jotted down in any way, notes to the side, or just off the cuff?
I'd say, well, the real stuff, you know, the lead-in.
Oh, yeah.
Team A's playing Team B, or the stats, that was all scripted or a note card. What I would do sometimes, you were saying Dennis Miller did something like this, I would have a little sheet, like an Eddie Vedder, guidebook he brings out, and I would write like my favorite 8 things I want to get in a show. And don't forget to do medicinal as the guy dunks on a basketball. Don't forget to say put one in the air, you know. Or I think it's hard to put a percentage. I think 25% of the show was absolutely, it just happened in that moment.
Right.
Maybe more, but not much more.
But I think that's what made you so damn funny.
Well, like something would happen, or your co-anchor would say something that you didn't know they were going to say, and then in that 1 second, you say what you say, right?
Yeah.
Just like we're doing here.
What was your home run call? I'm blanking on it now.
Well, the one that got most attention was an adaptation of my old friend who was a comic, Warren Thomas, who passed away. He did this thing about when you got your student loan and you felt so powerful when your student loan. He was like, I am king of the dorms.
Yeah.
Let there be Cheetos for all my men. And so mine was, I am king of the diamond.
Yeah.
Let there be a clubhouse feast. Bring me the finest meats and cheeses
Yeah.
in all the land.
Yes, all the land. That's it.
But it took a lot of energy. And the older I got, I reserved it for grand slams only. I'm not going to do that line for a cheesy little
cheap
hit.
two-run homer or a two-run
Not-
single. Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, there were just silly things to say. Like, honestly, I've forgotten most of them at this point. Even with derogatory credit, you can own a brand new car. Right? It makes no sense. My friend Bill Wolf made up one. He said, here's one for you. I don't know what that pitch is, but it tastes like chicken. Right? So I give Bill Wolf credit for that.
Yeah.
I yelled Yahtzee sometimes.
Yep, you did. Yep.
It's funny, I did the commercial where Dan Patrick sets it up, and he almost asked you a question. He goes, or answered your question. He says, you know, it's very organic on SportsCenter. We don't rehearse anything. We just go out and naturally flow. And then they cut to me, and I'm reversing a home run over and over while I practice.
Yeah.
And they gave me this line I didn't like. It was, it's not iffy if it's Griffey, which is kind of funny, but I just didn't feel it. I want to do my own calls. And so in the shooting of this commercial, I go, it's not iffy if it's Griffey, that sucks. Or that blows. I said, that blows. Thinking I had killed it. I was trying to sabotage it.
Yeah.
They kept the whole thing.
Yeah.
They kept that blows.
Yeah. I remember this because you didn't remember it when we had you on the show. But my favorite call of yours of all time, and I hope it inspires you tonight on stage, was Andre Agassi and Michael Chang were playing and in a tennis match. And they were close friends because they went to Bolletary together. So I guess at the end, Agassi just leaps over the net to go hug him. And you said Agassi wins in straight sets and then leaps the net to pummel Chang and steal his racket.
I remember that.
You remember that? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's a deep reach
It was a deep cut. But
Absolutely.
it was, and look, as a comedian, I love liners and things. And so those things stick with me.
That's funny.
And I brought people in. To the room, let's go, but you have to hear him say this so funny, and they're like, I don't know why. I was like, it's just the best line ever, because, and then the video cut in the perfect spot where you wouldn't see him hug him. He was just jumping over the net
to kill him.
Yeah,
Well, it's funny. I tried something like that at Kimmel's coming out. I was debating what's the first thing I do. I had 20 ideas. I settled on right or wrong. I come out and I said, I'm surprised we're going on with the show given the incident. You saw the police, right? I'm just making all this up. And they're all looking at me. What? I said, there's a guy backstage. He was backstage, and he said to me I was 20 minutes ago, he said, I want you to go out there and kill them. I was like, that seems like a really bad big thing. Why would you murder? They paid to come, and now we're going to. What kind of fucked up operation is Jimmy Kimmel running here? So it worked better with you two.
Yeah.
I thought, that's an old, as you know, go kill him, or I'm going to kill it.
Yeah.
And I turned that into, the literal.
I saw a thing.
I just swore on your air. Sorry.
Yeah, no, we're
YouTube.
We're YouTube. We're good. Be safe. Here's the thing I saw from Steve Martin one time. Jerry Seinfeld got him to come out and open for him at Radio City, and he decided his opening line was, "Hey, I'm sorry I'm late. I saw a sign in the bathroom that said employees must wash hands, and I cannot find anybody who will wash my hands."
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do you miss just sports?
I miss the hour only.
Okay.
If I could just, I knew you were going to ask. If I could just show up at 1 minute to 11.
Grab your script.
And be somewhat prepared also. It was always fun. And I think you'd appreciate, both of you, the danger of being live is what made it more fun. And sometimes it's frightening because I don't know how to say this guy's name, and he just you're quickly scribbling but I remember a no-hitter. This is right before I left, actually. There were a bunch of no-hitters that year, and my producer Evan gets in our ear. There's 90 seconds to air. A no-hitter ended a minute before, so in this little 2-minute gap, right? He's like, all right, we're either going quick highlight, throw to the soundbite, quick highlight, throw to live interview, quick highlight, Kenny interviews him, straight to hit, he's 9 options. Now there's 20 seconds, and we still don't know which one we're doing because he doesn't know which one we should do based on is the guy in place. I don't know his name. And with 5 seconds, we're doing blah, 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 whatever it was, right? And expertly did it, right? It was like we'd rehearsed it, and that was really fun. And I trusted my producer. He would never hang you out, and you think you're doing one thing and it's another. But that was the fun of it.
That's an adrenaling rush.
Oh,
man.
yeah. I was exhausted after some shows.
Yeah.
I feel like James Brown coming on stage, sweating.
Did you ever have a Bill O'Reilly moment?
No, I was too nice for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say it in more of a smart-ass way. My criticism would, just be cynical as opposed to, you fucking, I would never do that. Like, I always said, like, people make mistakes, I make mistakes, you make, and you hopefully look out for each other. If it's I have a friend who was a PA way back when, and he quickly elevated, and they brought him to the Super Bowl. He's like only been there a year, and he's now one of the guys at the Super Bowl. It's like a really cool event, for young kids especially. And he was in charge of supervising the font coordinator for the post-game show, and they decided to put up the wrong score of the Super Bowl.
No way.
I mean, that's a pretty bad mistake.
Yeah.
They had it way wrong, too. They just miscellaneous numbers, NBA score. I don't know what it was.
The story of you getting that job. I know you got a lot to get to today to promote it. I want to get back to the comedy thing tonight, but the story of you getting that job, did you ever in your life think that was going to happen?
I honestly thought it might have a chance, my last bid to wake them up. The Joe Montana to John Taylor Super Bowl of 1989, Cincinnati, the 90-yard drive, John Candy's on the side, the whole thing. I did a show at this little station in Seattle that was pretty good. It was like a nice 5-minute, mostly about the Super Bowl. Sent it to ESPN just for the hell. Like, why not? I'm going to see what they think of me. They called and said, send us another tape. We want to see if that was a fluke. And then they don't hire me. They bring me back for the interview, but they don't hire me. And they brought me back for 2 interviews. Then they assigned me to do the Goodwill games of 1990 in Seattle. Then it was a freelance story, and then it was a feature story. And they were using me with regularity while I was selling long distance for MCI, trying to pay the bills. And some time went on where they used me less. It wasn't doing the story anymore. It was like, hey, go get a soundbite for, And I was I was frustrated because I thought I was good enough to do the job. And I wasn't even trying to go back to ESPN. I was trying to stay in Seattle but be like a West Coast correspondent or whatever. And finally, I sent a letter to John Walsh and said, please check the appropriate box. I'm trying to sort out my future. First one said, stand by the mailbox, contract's on the way. Second one said, keep up the freelance work. Third one said, we'll hire you about the time ESPN 5 hits the air. And then they're at ESPN 2, right?
Yep.
A month and a half later, they hired me. And so I don't know if that was the impetus, like, hey, come on, let's give him a chance. I just beat down the door. And I would do extra credit. They'd say, go interview Gary Payton. We're doing a feature about point guards or whatever. And I would write the story they could have had they, you know what I mean? They probably thought I was an idiot, but it worked out eventually.
Yeah, there's a joke in selling long distance for NCI, considering both those things are gone now.
Yeah, people don't know. I mean, people don't know there was no 911 in my neighborhood when I broke my femur in 6th grade. That will be a funny story tonight at Caesars.
You made watching it. Of course, there's a lot of guys that have gone on, but the heat of when it all started.
Keep asking your question while I text somebody.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
No, I mean, it's the watching you do Sports Center was a reason to watch Sports Center.
I appreciate that.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, there were others. I'm not the only one for sure, but that was I think my highest achievement in that regard, where you kind of got that respect. I got to be backstage at Stevie Wonder in L.A., and his band members knew who I was.
That's the
like that. I'm serious. That was like, is there anything more to do?
No.
I have to go to an interview in 4 minutes.
That's okay.
But I want you guys to come tonight.
Okay, tell everybody.
8 o'clock,
Caesars Hotel.
Caesars Vesta, at the not the casino, but the hotel, the nice new hotel, 2nd floor. I'm going to say jokes. I'm going to show a movie about wiffle ball, and I'm going to say more jokes, and then I'm going to tell you about Run Freely, and we're going to raise some money to help veterans.
We hope we did it here.
Yeah,
Thank you, buddy.
so much.
All right, thank you. Kenny Mayne with us. Again, Caesars Hotel tonight. This 365 Sports from Radio Row in New Orleans.
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgan Ford. It's that time of year, it's football season. Bird Colgan Ford is a proud supporter of the best high school football right here in Central Texas. BK Ford is proud to sell the #1 selling truck in Texas, the F-Series truck, 47 years in a row. Come see the largest showroom in Texas and experience better at Bird Colgan Ford.
Edward Edward Jones financial advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones financial advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533, Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones financial advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC.
Jaylen Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Jaylen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Rolling, Mahomes, he can keep it, he can get there, he's in for the touchdown.
Live from Radio Row for Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, this is 365 Sports. Radio Row coverage is brought to you by Jaylen Samuels House of Travel, the official travel sponsor of 365 Sports. Now, here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
We are awaiting the arrival of Marshall Newhouse, who should be here in a second. I'm sure you'll see him when he comes on. He's a former NFL offensive lineman. He's much taller than me. So,
You're the average height of an offensive lineman in the NFL, Paul.
Just a smidge taller than me. Just me and a bunch of other tall guys. You know how that is.
Yeah.
You know how that is. By the way, just to tease tomorrow a little bit, Thurman Thomas, Darren Woodson, South Carolina defensive end Dylan Stewart, one of the best players
bad
in the
Mamma Jamma.
Yeah, bad dude. It was true freshman last year. Jermichael Finley, Dante Hall, Brian Baldinger, New Orleans Saints wide receiver Bub Means, among some other people that we will have. So really fun stuff tomorrow, and then on Friday you're going to see some stuff that we've done already, and then it's really, you'll see it. Some stuff that's really good, really emotional. We had 2 people from the Wounded Warrior Project who are retired soldiers, a married couple. Very, very beautiful story. About how they overcame PTSD and trauma. 2 active Navy ship captain and a commander that were Naval Academy football players. Can you imagine driving a ship?
That would be unreal.
Yeah.
I don't, at least it's just in a big, wide open body of water, and you can not have to worry about running it into anything that often. But I don't know if I would I don't know if I could handle that much power, man. I'd get a little nervous behind that.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome, though.
Yeah. So I think I just think that I mean, their stories are so unbelievable.
Yeah.
Playing in the Army-Navy game and all that. You also hear Jay Allen, who is a country singer, country rock singer. He was here yesterday. We'll have an Eagles reporter, a Chiefs reporter. Roman Gabriel III. Roman Gabriel's son has some really cool stuff going on he wanted to talk about, so you'll see that. Plus, like, whatever we don't get to, is Marcus Harper today?
Yeah, Marcus Harper's today.
Yeah, we have Marcus Harper.
Marcus Harper's
Marcus
great
Harper,
personality.
Oregon offensive lineman, going to the draft this year. We have, again, like I said, Chris Myers coming up, DJ Dozier coming up, and several others. I don't see those guys that had him yet, but we'll get him in just a second. So, did they leave a number?
Yeah, I'm about to call him.
Okay, good deal. So Garrett's going to call them right now, and this is like this is the day we kind of forget. Like, oh, here they are. Here we are. Yeah, yeah, we're good to go. Yeah, we're waiting for him. Yeah. Alrighty, so. All right, good.
Good. How you doing, man?
Good. That's Mark. I'm Paul. All right, there we go.
Garrett Ross. Nice to meet you, buddy.
So.
If that's too loud, let me know. I can turn it down.
Check. 1, 2, 3, 4. A little bit. Turn down a little bit.
Yeah. That's one of our other co-hosts.
Okay.
Who's gone for the day.
All right,
He's living. All right, Marshall Newhouse, former TCU and NFL offensive lineman. Look, we're a college football show at our heart.
Okay, nice. I love
We're
it.
a college football show. So I'm going to start out talking about TCU and the Big 12. And, look, they went from, I mean, they were right there, and then they ran up against one of the best teams in the history of college football.
Sure.
You know, like one of those things. Where do you feel as a guy who was there? You played for Coach Patterson, and then seeing what they were, then having to kind of go through it, and looks like they're back up on the upswing now.
Yeah, definitely. I think Coach Sonny Dykes has put some good foundations in place, and I think it was going to take a little bit more time than maybe even I wanted for him to redefine things on his own terms and be out of Coach Patterson's shadow, because ultimately that 2022 team that made it to the national championship were mostly Gary Patterson's recruits, and so he was never going to, he did the best with what he could, and that's, saying you're a runner-up in the national championship is nothing to shake a stick at. But I think the next year, taking a step back, it was like, okay, he's got to recalibrate. He's got to continue to recruit on his own terms, build and hire coaches and players on his own terms, and then also deal with the changing NIL transfer portal landscape. And so I think he's doing a really exceptional job at that. And it's just been fun to watch. And so I got a chance to go call the bowl game in Albuquerque, and they were very workmanlike. That's an easy game. They kind of got snubbed with the bowl selections just because they didn't take care of business. They were only 8-4, so they got to go to New Mexico and play Louisiana. Okay, a lot of teams would have been like, we're too good to be here. They prepared all week. They took the practice seriously. They have a lot of leadership on that team, and they smacked Louisiana around like they should. And so it's a good note to end the season on and go back into the offseason in. And listen, the Big 12, I think year in and year out, is going to be one of the more competitive, fun leagues to be in, and TCU should be right up there every year if they take care of business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the league is so fun.
So fun.
It's so fun to watch. I mean, Arizona State coming out of nowhere. We've talked about this ad nauseum on our show, but before the year they sent out the media ballot. We had it essentially upside down.
The whole thing was flipped. I remember seeing that. The whole thing was flipped. It's crazy how the year ended up, but that's an incredible story. Coach Kenny Dillingham and them, take advantage of the transfer portal as well, and listen, that kind of equals the playing field in the short term, but you still have to have a good foundation. I think he's building a really good foundation there in Tempe, and getting good guys, especially coming from the Herm Evans years. They were kind of rudderless. As rudderless as programs get, they were rudderless. So to see them kind of pop out of nowhere and win the championship, win the Big 12 conference, was a lot of fun, and they competed with Texas. I was so impressed by them.
Yeah, you are doing the broadcasting thing now.
Yes, I am.
And how much fun are you having?
I'm having a blast. This was, once I was told during my career, hey, you should give this a shot. And I was like, yeah, whatever. But I was always maintaining good relationships with the teams I played on, and the PR and the media people. And then, a couple of years ago, I was like, I'm going to give this a real, honest try. And but what you realize really quickly is that, listen, I'm again a rookie again, so you've got to really approach it that way. As far
there's less hazing.
Well, yeah, it's like you don't unless you're a quarterback, you just don't get preferential treatment. Not that I was expecting that, but I'm like, oh, I got to build this up, but then show my chops, because ultimately, I hope to, get opportunities because I'm good at this, not just because I played. And but that takes me getting reps and getting myself out there. So that's been a fun thing. I started coming to Radio Row, I think 2016 in Houston, and while also playing, just for the idea of like meeting the people and getting my name out there so that those doors are cracked open when I do retire. It's not I'm a new guy rushing to kind of get known and get my name out there. So I've been doing the DraftKings show, NFL show this year with Trey Wingo. I've learned a lot from him. It's been a lot of fun. I've done some tune-in stuff for Big 12 Radio, called some games for TCU in the bowl season, and so I'm trying to continue to do more and more and get myself out there, and I've enjoyed it so much. I knew early on I didn't want to coach, but I wanted to find some way to stay close to the game, and this has been a great way.
So you and Wingo do anything on the Baylor TCU game?
He just gives me crap all the time, so not yet.
Look, you have 8 years in a row.
I was just going to ask, you were talking about Wingo and Baylor here.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, what does Paul Gonzalez, for the Baylor people, what does he bring?
Yeah. He's an incredible coach. I hate that we lost him, but he's a really knowledgeable guy. He was there, I think, at the end of Gary Patterson's tenure. So, recruiting. He's got a lot of plugs in the Texas system, and then on defense, he's got a really good, advanced, modern defensive mind. So obviously that jives with Dave Aranda and what he's trying to do, and then ultimately an attitude guy. He's an attitude. A lot of teams that I played against and with have lost their sense of that culture of attitude and toughness. I don't know if it's a generational thing. I'm not going to turn into a boomer and say everyone's soft, but I think there's a level of losing those recipes of what each individual program did to build where they are now. And so he's one of those guys who has not institutional knowledge of how it used to be in certain respects to then impose that on a lot of these young guys and who are trying to find their way. And so I think it's a good hire. I think he was looking for more responsibility, and I'm happy for him.
What do you think about this game this week? This felt inevitable for a lot of people because these teams are so they're so well run just from the top down.
Yeah.
And you played for a lot of different teams. Then you had you had things like from college to the pros of look, Coach Patterson for a long time that was an organization that ran well.
Yes.
And I think at the end he stressed himself out a little bit too much. So I think
to say the least,
I think he got a little bit. He's a high-strung dude,
yes,
and you can't he lost the governor on the meter. A little bit. The governor just blew right off. But then you played for the Raiders. You played for other organizations. The Raiders not what you call top-down run really well.
Right.
Now it looks like Tom Brady's come in and done that.
They're changing things, yeah.
But from a player's perspective, when you play for a team like the Eagles or the Chiefs, and I know the Chiefs kind of failed some of their facilities things a year ago, yeah. But ultimately they're dedicated to winning and they're dedicated to making the team better. How does that make you feel in a locker room when the guys at the top are making sure that this is not just a money grab?
Sure, and listen, players talk, and guys change teams, and which organizations treat their guys right especially on the quiet things that aren't public forward facing. Just how's the cafeteria? That's a big deal. How are we being nourished while we're here, and the training staff, recovery facilities, and so I was saying this earlier today. It is absolute correlation between the dedication and intentionality with all those things that you do to provide resources for your players and coaches and staff. That's directly correlated to success over the long haul, because you're giving them a foundation where I'm not having to worry about, is this cold tub functioning like it's supposed to? Mm-hmm. I'm not having to worry about, are we traveling like an NFL team should be traveling? Not that we need to be in, super, super private jets, but are we cramped? Is this a cross-country flight that they're cheapening out on? All the way to, are they supporting their scouting staff? There's a team, I won't even name the team, it's not worth it, but that readily every year underman their regional scouting staff. Guys that have to go out to all parts of the country. They scout college and then they scout other current NFL players, and they were undermanning them by probably 75% compared to other teams. And listen, most people don't know that, but I'm like, all right, that's to me a level of a lack of understanding of how important all these things are connected, and supporting your staff to give them the best chance to then listen. if you view players as an asset and whatever, why, if we're Lamborghinis, why are you not giving us the best mechanics and the best fluids and the best things? And like that to me feels very obvious if you're in this for the right reasons. But listen, we can't talk about ownership. It's their money, it's their choice, but it's your choice, but it's also our choice to like call you out on it, which is those anonymous polls, or just guys maybe choose another place to sign, and ultimately it leads to winning or not winning.
Yeah, and look, I think most people don't realize it's a workplace just like anywhere else.
Yes.
Like we've all had crap bosses, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so your job is just far different and something that everybody like would want to do if they had the skill and opportunity, as opposed to you're like, oh yeah, well I work for an accounting firm and our boss is he doesn't give us, like, we have old computers and we have all this, we always have these problems and everything's always broken. Like that happens in the NFL too.
Exactly.
I mean, like, it happens. I had friends that played in a couple different towns that are like famous for their owners like cheaping out on the other things, and then they go and it's not even like it's fancy.
No.
It's just there, and they're like, this is amazing. And
the worst thing that happened to a lot of these NFL owners who were on the cheaper side of facility wise was all of these colleges spending umpteen millions to renovate their facilities, players getting recruited through that, and then going to the NFL like, what? This is worse than college? This should be better than college. And so there's a lot of teams that have felt the pressure to like, hey, we got to at least get up to par, with our facilities and the way we run things. So it's just been very interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama's got a waterfall, a sushi chef.
Crazy, yes, absolutely.
They have ice cream Thursdays,
They're long gone the days of this is before I got there, but the Raiders facility, Al Davis. We know he loved football, but Al Davis, they renovated and reused a basically just corporate office building, and he would barely provide the steel cold tubs for his players, and you're like, whoa, this is the Raiders. This is the Raiders, and that's there's different levels of examples of that over the years, but people would assume differently. But when you find it out, you're like, oh wow, this is a guy who loved football through his core, but didn't believe in that, and I don't think helped his team in any way. Maybe it was neutral, whatever, but definitely wasn't helping his team.
Yeah, absolutely. So, can the Eagles defense Mahomes this game?
Listen, I think they have as good opportunities as anyone. If you remember the beginning of the Buffalo game, the AFC Championship game, the first drive or two drives, there were like 4 or 5 either RPOs or short passes. There was a concerted effort by the Kansas City Chiefs to get rid of the ball quickly. I think to mitigate Joe Thuney from moving from guard to tackle. Now, Joe Thuney has played incredibly well given the circumstances. I think he will continue to play incredibly well, but that is not his main position, left tackle. But they're keeping him there because they trust him, and there's a level that goes in that, especially for a guy like Mahomes. But they understand that, so they're getting rid of the ball that first drive. The Eagles are one of the best teams against short passes and short screens, so they're going to do a lot to take away that stuff, and we're going to see how Kansas City and Andy Reid counteract that. And on the other side, I think Kansas City, if you can get a lead on this Eagles team, Saquon Barkley is an incredible weapon. He's been a revelation behind this offensive line. But there's a stark difference between the way that he runs and his yards per carry when they are tied or have the lead versus when they are from behind. And so those two storylines, I think, are going to be huge and play out. And then obviously the Spags and the Vic Fangio and how they specifically adapt once the teams come out. Everyone's feeling each other out the first 2 drives. Those are scripted drives. You hope they go well, but if they don't, then you start to pivot. But you're going to figure out what these guys are feeling for this day, and then whoever adjusts the quickest and the most effective will win the game. But it's going to be a toss-up. These games, the margin's so close. A lot of people talked all year, almost in a negative sense, that Kansas City wasn't winning by enough. And these are eking out all these games like, no. This is intentional. They know what they're doing. They know they are not the past team with Tyreek Hill where they're taking the top off every week. They're doing what needs to be done. They're saying, get us to the fourth quarter with Pat Mahomes, the ball in his hands, and we'll go win more than we will lose. And I think that is what they are okay with, because now they've taken it to another level. Travis Kelce and he go to another level in the playoffs. He's running routes that are on the route tree. So he's going to get open, and they're going to do things they need to do. And at the end of the day, if you're giving the ball to Patrick Mahomes with down or tied, who wouldn't take that? They've shown so much evidence of that I feel like that's what this is going to come down to. But we'll see how things go in between. But they're so tightly matched. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel bad for Josh Allen. and it's like everything he's doing.
Yeah.
It's probably, I guess, similar to be like whoever
ran into Jordan.
Yeah. Like Reggie Miller. Like
Yeah.
if there's no Michael Jordan, like what do we talk about with Reggie Miller?
Exactly.
You know, like it's just one of those things. Like that is where it kind of feels for me with Josh
and on
Allen.
that point too. So I mentioned this earlier. I think people forgot that $500 million contract they signed is now team friendly. He's renegotiated a little bit, but he did that preemptively because they're like, this is our guy. We've got an all-timer here. Let's do this and have predicted outcomes for our revenue moving forward, even with the salary cap going up. Then we can build a team. So you got Pat on board, and so now they're not hamstrung by him wanting the biggest contract he can always get. So their mindset is like, we're going to stay here forever if we can. And that's, the rest of the teams are going to suffer.
That's what Brady did.
That's what Brady did.
Until he didn't
They
have
did
to
it in
anymore.
a less obvious way, and yeah. But, yeah, absolutely. It's very in that vein.
Yeah. You're from Dallas.
Yeah.
That team is
we're talking Cowboys or Mavericks. They're both
Cowboys.
in shambles right now.
Yeah. I want to ask you about. I'm going to ask you about the Luka thing.
Yeah.
Now that you said that, but Cowboys. I mean, it's hard to watch because here's what I know, and like I've covered the Cowboys for a long time, so I know the Joneses. Like I know they want to win.
Sure.
But they really do. But the problem is that they don't feel a sting when they don't.
Right.
And so, like, I think it's altered their reality of where they actually are. Because when you have Steven saying so-called drought, like, you kind of think, like,
well, what reality are you living in, bud?
Like, what are your goals?
That's a good point, that they don't feel a sting of losing, which I think is true. I also don't think – so there's a thing with athletes or competitors. Athletes specifically, like, there's the hierarchy is they want to get paid – they want to win, and they ultimately want to win because of me. I think Jerry and the Joneses, they want to win. I believe that, but they want it to be because of them. Because if they wanted to win more than anything, they would have stepped aside or had some structure before now, 10 years ago. Back when Quincy Carter was your quarterback, they would have figured something out years ago to either groom or hire someone who's going to be the next Nick Caserio, whatever GM and personnel guy. But no, it's got to be Jerry, because of Jerry. It's got to be because of him having the title and then winning under his title, even though we've got 25 years of evidence that is not the reason. And so that is the unfortunate thing, is that I have such a reverence for them because he built America's team from a marketing standpoint, from a success in the 90s standpoint, and then he got rid of one of the main reasons, Jimmy Johnson, because it was about him. And it will always be about him, and ultimately he deserves that right. He's a billionaire. He bought the team when there's nothing. They deserve that right, but that doesn't erase the reality of what it is. And so It's tough to be a fan because you're like, yeah, we're stuck. As long as he feels this way and they're convicted this way, we're stuck with the results of whatever they're doing over there.
Luka for Anthony Davis.
Woo!
You're a Mavs fan?
I'm a Mavs fan. Listen, I'm a night owl too. I was up. I saw the tweet from Shams, and I was equally like, that's a spoof account. This isn't real. And I started seeing all the main affiliates from the NBA confirming it, and I was immediately like, it doesn't matter if they gave us 10 first-round picks. On its face, that is a lack of appreciation for the relationship between Maverick fans specifically and their star. The Dirk entire career, we won 50, 60 games a year. He won one ring, and we were happy as clams for 15 years. That's different. We thought we had the same thing in Luka. We got him when he was a teenager. Coincidentally, he's a white European star, but whatever. He's our guy. We got to the finals. We're like, yes, he has obvious deficiencies on defense, but this is our guy. If we can eventually break through to win one, build a team around him, we will be happy. He will be happy. He is ours. And to completely throw that away, and we're now finding out that Mark Cuban just really wasn't in control, didn't have that. That's even worse, is a lack of understanding of this specific relationship. But I understand their argument on some level, but then if the argument is we want to be defensive first, but you're going to be a GM who's trading value, get more for him. help your team out more because a guy in between 3 teams with a bidding board gets another 2 or 3 first round. And so I get maybe he wants to do it in cover at night because someone's going to put a stick in the spokes of the deal. Maybe okay, but we're going to look back 20 years from now and be like, unless the Mavs win multiple rings, this was a failure of leadership and a weird way to go about it.
Yeah, and to send them, it's always the Lakers who benefit from this.
Multiple times. Paul Gasol, Shaq. I mean, they've gotten
Kareem.
Yeah, Kareem.
I mean, like,
crazy.
Hey, they foisted Vlade Divac for Kobe in the draft.
They would have had Chris Paul if not for the commissioner. I mean,
because he got busted for the Paul Gasol thing. Yeah, absolutely. Marshall, loved having you on. Would love to have you on regularly.
Absolutely, guys.
Love to have you on regularly. Great stuff. Marshall Newhouse. Find him where, like with Wingo, when you watch the broadcast.
I'm on Twitter. At mnewhouse73. I'm on Blue Sky now, figuring that out. But then, DraftKings, and then I'll be calling games on radio. I do stuff for TuneIn and Big 12 Radio. I'm on the Big 12 Alumni Council, so we're working with Brett Yormark to help some of the student athlete experience. And then, I'll be continuing to do media both NFL and college, so catch me out there.
There you go, Marshall Newhouse. This is 365 Sports.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
If you want quality and personalized service for all your air conditioning and heating needs, call Tradesman Services. They're a family-owned and operated company that has served Texans for over 30 years. Tradesman offers maintenance plans starting at just $12 per month and a free service call for all new customers. They're also experts in geothermal design, installation, and service. Visit them online at coolingwaco.com.
Cars priced right, day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
Jaylen Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Jaylen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Here's Barkley, a little shovel, looking for an edge, gets it, Saquon Barkley, first down, Barkley, Saquon, touchdown.
Live from Radio Row for Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, this is 365 Sports. Radio Row coverage is brought to you by Jaylen Samuels House of Travel, the official travel sponsor of 365 Sports. Now, here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
Welcome back, Paul Catalina, 365 Sports. Smokey is, he's poor guy.
He's going through it,
He's
man.
going through it. Garrett's having to, massage ointment into him in the morning.
I'm like a caretaker. I feel like a caretaker.
Yeah.
I love the man.
Yeah.
Got me feeling like a caretaker.
Yeah. And he picks Garrett for two reasons. One, I refuse.
You definitely refuse.
I definitely refuse. I would if I had to. But 2, Garrett is taller and has more leverage than all of us.
Yeah.
To really
get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try to the torque.
Yeah,
all
all those things. Yes. That's absolutely
angles.
That's absolutely the case. So, we're waiting for Chris Myers from Fox Sports. I'm sure he'll be over here in a little bit. He's supposed to be here in 4 minutes. So we've got here's from Patrick Mahomes from Media Night the other night.
Super Bowl is always top of the top, and to be able to have this opportunity to be in this game, it's always special. And so we're just going to go out there and lay it all on the line. I mean, we've worked so hard to be in this game, and I'm proud of my teammates. We're one win away from going out and completing history, so I'm excited for it. I just want to be remembered as one of the greatest teams of all time at the end of the day, and I know how blessed I am to be in Kansas City and the people that I have around me, coaches and players, and so I'm more focused on leaving the imprint on the Kansas City Chiefs and how we are remembered for the rest of the time.
Yeah, you heard, I keep thinking about what Moose said yesterday, Daryl Johnson. And so Moose, DJ said that everything when he was with the Cowboys was about winning. Every single thing was about winning. And that's what the Chiefs are about. That's what Mahomes is about. It's all about winning, which is why they win so much. And the teams that don't, there are distractions. There are things, and whether it's, I don't think it's always from the player. I think the players care about winning a ton. If you're a competitor, if you're a professional athlete, you care about winning. But if you don't, like you just heard from Marshall, have that structure that supports winning from the top because of whatever reason, because you have an owner that doesn't want to spend as much on this, or they don't believe in this or don't believe in that, and then you have someone, like the Hunts. Now look, they had to go through it with their facility. Now they're still probably going through that a little bit. I bet you they made some upgrades because that's a very public failing for the team that keeps winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that doesn't look good when that's pretty much the face of the NFL and you have that story behind it. That's not a good look.
Yeah, no, it's not a good look. But here's what they've also done. They've politicized it enough to where now there's a huge stadium debate. And they're like, well, if you want the facilities to be better, now you have to give us money to build a stadium. And we don't want to have to move off of this spot. We would like to be here, in Kansas City. We don't want to be, on the Kansas side, or we want to go here. We don't want to go in the suburb. We don't want to do that.
Right.
Don't make us do that. But because they know that, they can go to that and be like, hey, we would like to build the Chiefs Stadium here. And they'll be like, here, take all that you want, So that's just, it's interesting to me to see how the Hunt family, who are good owners. They're very good. Obviously they're winning. I wouldn't say that they're in any way being cruel to the players like some owners have in the past. Snyder, they're not that. Clearly they win. But there is a focus on what is it going to take to win, and at least personnel wise. Now, amenity wise, maybe not doing the most that they can do, but personnel-wise, they absolutely are, and they figured it out. And Marshall just said, hey, the offense maybe is not as high-flying going over the top, but once Worthy becomes something other than, just a fast guy, say Tyreek Hill had to develop.
He just replaced. That's all he did. He's going to do the exact same thing. He's going to eventually turn into Tyreek.
Yeah. So, no, I can't fathom what it's going to be. And here's Chris Myers. He's going to sit down here in a second with us right here.
Right there, Chris.
Yeah. So Chris is one of my favorite guests to have. We've had him multiple times on Radio Row. Chris Myers from Fox Sports.
It's always good to see you.
Yes, great to see you.
You're
Paul
a staple
Kevin.
here. Why are they? So they're changing it out of Media Row? Is that what they want to call it?
Media Row.
Is that because all the TV and streaming?
And, we're a podcast now. We've gone to the, I don't know if it's the dark side or not, but it's where you had to go.
That's right.
We're chasing it. So
everybody has a podcast. That's great.
Yeah. No, look, you can start one tomorrow if you want to. So you're here with the Mueller Sports Medicine.
Yeah, Mueller Sports Medicine. They've had this out for a while that athletes have used. Now it's available for the general public, and essentially you can get it at Walmart.com or Mueller, Mueller, MuellerRevive.com, and essentially it's like a built-in. You slip on these leg boots, and you connect them to a machine that you can control the compression, and it goes in and out. So it's almost like a massaging therapy. So it does two things. It helps your circulation. It helps you recover from any kind of pain if you were out walking, hiking, playing basketball, pickleball, whatever. And it's for the weekend warrior, if you're a jogger, cyclist, whatever, so that you can do it again the next day. And so it re-energizes you as well with great circulation and blood flow.
Yeah, last year Ron Jaworski put them on me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yep. And they had me try it because I do play some half-court basketball and pickleball, and I usually have to take a break. Even golf sometimes with my back. It actually helped my back, even though these things are for your legs. So I tried it a couple of nights a week at 20 minutes, and it really did work. So it's only about, I think, $700 if you get it. But they have them at some of the high-end gyms, but now you can have this as your home unit. My wife uses it because she's very athletic as well, so the whole family can try it. So, I would say check it out.
Yeah. So, Chris, you, an Emmy Award-winning sports broadcaster, you've been in this game for a long time. You have covered just about everything. Is there something you haven't covered that you would like to?
Well, I don't know how good I would be at covering it, but I've covered it, but not really called it or in the big moment, the NHL or soccer or the World Cup. I've covered those sports on the peripheral, but not like I've been on the NFL or in the World Series, the network broadcast in the thick of it. So that might be out there as a challenge. But I enjoy the things that I grew up, football, baseball, NASCAR. It took me a while to get into NASCAR. My brothers were big car guys, but I enjoy those things. And to me, football was the first love growing up in Florida, and the NFL. I mean, college football also, but that's kind of the path that I took, which is something I do mention in my book I have out called That Deserves a Wow, a little bit about years at ESPN and Fox and covering all the sports that you talked about and allowing me to meet and it is a lot of interesting people through the years that I was able to interview.
You've kind of done all the different jobs, like from Sports Center anchor to reporter, sideline. Right. I think I told you this one time when we talked. I like listening to your play-by-play because you have informed, like, as a sideline reporter, you know what that job is, maybe even more than a lot of play-by-play guys do because they've never done it.
Yeah.
They've never had to do it. So the interaction you have down at the sideline, to me, is always better than most because you've been that guy who has to give something really fast that's really important that can't sound like it's something everybody else would know. And so I appreciate that from all angles when I watch one of your broadcasts.
Yeah, no, and thank you for saying that because I think, and I was late doing play-by-play because I was hosting other shows, interview shows, Sports Center highlight shows, or reporting, as you said, and other things. But I think having been down on the field, and you really do, we try to work with the crew and show as much as we can, but you really see and feel the crunch of the pads. We heard on TV, we try to show it to you, but the way the guys come over the sideline in such pain and then go right back out there, I mean, you really get a sense of how their interaction is with coaches. Some of it, obscenities we can't say or show. So that helps. So when I went to the booth, I obviously had a respect for the position down there of the sideline reporter, but also had a feel for the flow of the game and what's going on. I sometimes watch, maybe whether it's good or not, I'm watching the game. I have the monitor and I'm watching the live game on the field where the ball is, but I'm often checking out the sideline during the break. Who is somebody yelling at somebody? Is somebody pouting? Who's going to the locker room? And we have people to help us with that as well. But it's an important point to, I think, calling the game right.
I'll just tell you, from my personal experience doing sideline, I remember I did a Baylor-Texas game. I did an A&M, one of their, chump, opponent games. And getting injury information, you would think it would not be that big of a deal.
College is so tough.
In the NFL, they're like, they got to
They'll work with you a little bit, or they'll at least say, hey,
in college, you would think I'm asking for their social security number.
Yeah.
Like it is, you go like, hey, and like, you don't have to tell me what's wrong. I just want to know, are we going to see this guy again? Like he's out with an injury. That's fine enough because I'm the third wheel on this broadcast. They're only coming down to me for this information specifically, other than a couple of things I've prepared for when we have time, if that happens. So, like, some of these things I've worked on may never see the light of day because the game could go in a certain way of, here's an interesting story I found out. I just need to know when I come over to you and say, hey, looks like a bad ankle injury. Is he coming back in or not?
But I think they owe it, the school, the team, whatever, to the audience, because you're trying to do your job. But also, when you're up in the booth, and I did an Oregon game, Justin Herbert, one of his last games, and all of a sudden at the sideline, he's not in the game in the second half. We're trying to find out why, and he's in a raincoat over on the side, and they wouldn't say whether he was hurt or he was just, sitting out the game, getting ready for the draft. And nobody would inform us of that, and I think it's tough to call a game. I think viewers, the fans want to know, why isn't he in there? Is he just resting? Is he hurt? I mean, are they just rotating? So that's something, and the NFL is pretty good about that. I mean, some teams are better than others with giving you information, but I think that's because the league says, hey, the TV are partners with us and the broadcast, and we're serving the audience ultimately. Yeah, I think college sports can be a little bit better about that, at least from my brief experience calling college football.
Yeah, I'm totally for the day that they make them give injury reports across the board, as like professional sports do. There's a lot of money in this now, and so I would like to just see it. The other thing is, part of it is, and I covered Art Briles for long enough to where he wouldn't tell you tell you anything, and that was kind of a high school coach thing of look, if this coach isn't prepared for all possibilities, you saying that is not going to oh, hey, he's out. Okay, good. No. I think you need to have a little more respect for the other coach. By that secret's not really that valuable.
And sometimes it's obvious. And you can even say, hey, it looks like some shoulder pain. He's questionable. That's always the one, hey, might he return, might not.
Yeah.
At least that leaves the other team guessing if you're that sensitive. But at least the viewer has a sense of why he's out of the game. Or I've had some people say, hey, coach's decision. I'm like, okay, well, you don't have to tell us why the coach made it. Is he unhappy with him? Is it disciplinary? I was doing that Antonio Brown game with the Bucks and the Jets when Antonio Brown in New York took his shirt off. I thought it was a fan running on the field. So there, thankfully, we had a reporter who got on it, and he was unhappy about playing time. We were able to unfold that story as he ran off and ended his career. But it was a funny moment. Well, you think you're ready for things, but that I had never seen before.
And look, here's in that scenario, they're like, no, I got a story to tell you right now.
Yeah.
They're wanting to say that. This game this week is so very interesting to me because of the fact that of all the teams that could maybe get a lead on the Chiefs and hold it because they can run the ball, the Eagles might be that team. But nobody gets a big enough lead to put Patrick Mahomes out of the game because their defense is so elite. So, I guess everybody's going to start picking the Chiefs because if they're within striking distance with enough time and he needs a minute to score 2 touchdowns.
We've seen him do it.
Yeah,
and they win, 17 straight one-score games? It was a one-score game a couple of years ago. I think the Eagles are a better team than they were a couple of years ago. Mahomes hasn't lost anything, or has Andy Reid, but the Chiefs' defense is statistically just as good, even though the personnel is different. I think they only have 2 first-round draft picks that are starters on that team. But there's some things here. I think the Chiefs are a little susceptible to inside zone runs. It matches up in favor of the Eagles. Their personnel, obviously, on defense for Philadelphia that's played so well. I think they can take advantage of the tackles of Kansas City. But you're right. Mahomes, and look, even if the Chiefs slow down Saquon Barkley, I think Jalen Hurts is an outstanding runner. He can throw the ball, but there's risk-reward there. But he can have a 100-yard day, and Saquon can have 100. And there's your 200, and that's what they've been averaging or so through the playoffs. And then there's obviously the officiating, but it measures out that the Eagles have an advantage in almost every position except maybe quarterback and coach, which are the 2 most important. Where Andy Reid and Mahomes, if it's close, you got to think that they're going to pull it out.
You guys at Fox have an unbelievable talent stable right now for your NFL broadcast. It's you and Kevin and Joe Davis. Joe Davis and I actually did Baylor pregame together, right? At this very first gig I think he ever had, and he just shot up the charts.
No, he deserves. He's done well with baseball and on the football side.
Took over for Vin.
It's a great honor, and he's done well. And the analysts too, obviously not just Brady, but we have Greg Olson and you have Mark Sanchez and Mark Schlereth. People, announcers that people trust and that they know don't just show show up and give an opinion. They're out there working, whether it's by Zoom or at practice, and they're fun. I will say our seminar is always a blast. To hang, that's the one time we all get together. We do it in the off season and go over rules in the season ahead, and it's the pregame guys are there as well with Bradshaw and Howie Long and Jimmy Johnson and Julian Edelman, who's a great ad for us this year on the earlier show with Michael Vick's moving on to coaching. So we'll see who steps into that spot. But yeah, we're very fortunate. I mean, like I said, all those years at ESPN, I was around great people in those early years, the golden years, the growth years with Chris Berman and Bob Lee, and then at Fox, the growth there from beyond the NFL with NASCAR and baseball. But to have guys that have been there a while, that get along, that love what they do. It's a pleasure to work there.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you one question before I let you go about the Cowboys. You've called their games. You've seen them from that perspective. This just doesn't it's always it was always the thing was Jerry was the best owner and the worst GM. And I'm not sure that he's the best owner anymore. It just feels like they've kind of gotten too wrapped up in doing it their way. That now, there's things they refuse to do. Free agency, paying a coach, a competitive salary in that market. It doesn't feel the same as it did before.
Yeah, I never think it's a good thing to get so caught up in the Patriot way, the Cowboy way. That's okay when you're winning, but you have to be able to adjust, adapt, and change when personnel changes or certain things in the league change. Sometimes the other teams in your division get better. For example, now I think Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in that division. I no offense to Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott or whatever the hell the Giants are doing. but I am thrown off, and I always like Jerry Jones because I covered the team back in the era when he first bought the team and had the success, and I am mystified because I've seen him do things like go for Bill Parcells, I thought he might try for Belichick just to kind of, as he always says, I'd sell my soul for one more Super Bowl title. Well, that's what it might take if he keeps. I don't know. It's not a knock on Brian Schottenheimer. He's a fine assistant coach. We don't know what kind of head coach he'll be. Obviously, he's got. If it was to appease Dak Prescott needs a little more than just CeeDee Lamb. I mean, you have to think about what you're adding to this team, and the year before, not last year, the year before was their great chance, and they certainly missed out on that. I don't know what to expect from them, but I think maybe too we have to face the reality of it. I like Dak Prescott; he works hard. I just maybe he's just a good quarterback and not a great quarterback, and so if that's the case, accept that and work around him with the other parts that you need, like teams have done with the Jalen Hurts, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Myers, one of my favorite guests every single year. Chris, thank you so much. Mueller Sports, go to walmart.com, or you can just look them up, Mueller Sports, get the Revive. Again, I've experienced it. I think Smokey actually bought one last year. So, yeah, Smokey bought one, right, Josh? Yeah, so I can just steal his. I don't know.
But it does make a difference. We're all active, and they have them at gyms, but there you have to wait in line. You never know who's using. This is your own personal setup, but good luck with that, and thanks for having me on. Enjoy the game.
Chris Myers with us on 365 Sports.
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgin Ford. It's that time of year. It's football season. Bird Colgin Ford is a proud supporter of the best high school football right here in Central Texas. BK Ford is proud to sell the #1 selling truck in Texas, the F-Series truck, 47 years in a row. Come see the largest showroom in Texas and experience better at Bird Colgin Ford.
Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533. Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC. Alan
Alan Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Alan Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Rolling, Mahomes, he can keep it, he can get there, he's in for the touchdown.
Live from Radio Row for Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, this is 365 Sports. Radio Row coverage is brought to you by Alan Samuels House of Travel, the official travel sponsor of 365 Sports. Now here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
Jaylen Ford, New Orleans Saints, played at Frisco Lone Star High School. There's some players from Frisco Lone Star.
I was just thinking about that, yeah. We got, Nick Bowden, who's about to play in the Super Bowl. Ashton Jeanty, who had an amazing, not just last year or this, past year, but just an amazing career altogether. So I'm really proud of him. You got Marvin Mims. There's been a ton of guys, and there's still more guys that I think will end up coming out or that are in college right now.
Your rookie year, you got to play about half of it, and then of course you had the injury. You're obviously on a scooter.
Yeah.
How's it going? How's the recovery going?
Recovery's going good. I'm just I'm bummed that I didn't get to finish the season out completely, and that this is just something I have to deal with. But I think the Saints have taken really good care of me, and they're taking me through every step. So I have a lot of confidence that I'll be back. They said the timeline is like June or something like that, but I'm not really, too bummed out about it. It's kind of just another obstacle that, I'm 100% sure I'll overcome.
You don't know who your head coach is going to be yet, which has got to be a weird thing.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you'll find out next week.
Yeah.
So it'll be all done. But this was probably a pretty interesting rookie year going through all that. What did you learn about yourself and dealing with adversity? Because it's a lot different than Texas the last couple of years where things were on the way up, right?
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I honestly think my rookie year could kind of compare it to my first not my first year and not my freshman year of college, but maybe my second year, and that was like kind of that transition of we had Tom Herman, and then he got fired, and so we had a new coach and having a new coach and all that stuff. But I think and that was my first time really dealing with adversity, and now I'm older and I've been through that, so I kind of think I know how to handle adversity just a little bit better. Obviously, there's a lot more growing to do for me, but I think for the main thing, the main part was just knowing that I can only control the things I can control. So focusing on myself and focusing on how I can get better, and being better for my team, and doing the small things that they ask of me, and just learning to improve. I think those are the kind of the biggest things I took away from this year.
We've had former UT players on, sometimes current UT players on over the years, but one of the things about Coach Sarkisian, you hear about changing the culture, and you see that a lot when there's a coaching change or whatever that might be. But you guys really did. I mean, there was a cleansing, so to speak.
It was a visible change for sure.
What were when did you know? What were some of the things you could say? Oh, this is going to be different.
That year following, I think we went 5-7 or whatever.
Yep.
That following year, I knew. I mean, me personally, I was more motivated than ever because that year wasn't my best year, and I felt like I should have been playing more, and I wasn't. And so I definitely had a chip on my shoulder. And then on top of that, we were losing the teams we shouldn't have been, and we were losing games we shouldn't have lost. And it was just a lot of things that just piled up and they built up. And I think we took that anger and we put it into the offseason, and we worked our butts off. And our biggest thing was just trying to change the narrative about how Texas was, like, where we were headed and, what they would say about us. And it took a minute. And, I think even now there's still some things that obviously there's some humps that Texas is still looking to get over. But, I mean, for the most part, I think I was part of that group that got it started.
Yeah, you were.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
you were.
We talked about this yesterday on the show about the culture shift that happened. And you were on the bus, I'm assuming, when Bo Davis.
Yeah, I was on that bus. I was on that exact bus.
Laid into the bus. There were, and I'm sure there were some guys that were like, well, that's it. I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
But I think it speaks to the character of the team that most of you were like, I'm glad somebody said it. Was that maybe the feeling after the initial shock of, damn, this guy's crazy, wore off?
Honestly, I would say if you're really bought in and if you're really about the team, what he was saying, it was like, I think, for the people that weren't on that bus, the reason he said what he was saying was because that's how everybody felt. But there were some people on the bus that didn't feel that way, and he was more angry that there was people like laughing, and they weren't mad at the fact that we just got whooped, and it was more about it was about like a pride thing, and this wasn't like this is not what we were trying to do here, and I think that was so like when he did it, I wasn't surprised. And I didn't really have a reaction of like, oh, he's crazy or not. Like, I think everybody knows how Bo Davis is, so it wasn't a surprise that he was the one, going off on the bus like that. It was more about like, people were fed up with us and losing that year. Like I said, that was the year we went 5-7, so we had lost like at that point like 5 games in a row, and losing, I think it was to Iowa State, didn't help, and kind of that was a little turning point too as well. And after that, Sark, he realized like he's gonna have to get some bad apples out of the tree, and I think that's what he ended up doing. And he hadn't looked back. Obviously, it's definitely. You look at him now, it's like he's got a new culture, new guys. Set a new standard. So I don't really think they'll have to worry about that anymore.
Did anyone say anything after was everyone just like? Oh,
well,
damn.
I think the biggest shock was that there was a video of it, because so it was a funny thing because there was dudes in the back of the bus. And so he was kind of walking towards the back, and I was in the middle a little bit. So, like, I'm right here, and Bo was, like, right here. I'm looking at him going off. And then, like, you see, like, literally the next day, like, a video came out about it. And obviously in the locker room, it was just a funny thing because if you know Bo Davis, like, Bo didn't care, and neither really did we. It was just, like, it was funny because everybody that's not in that locker room, not in our walls, kind of got to see what the type of coach he is.
It was funny how a lot of people reacted to it that don't know what it's like to be in a locker room.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people probably in the world that were like, oh, man, this is bad. And like, no, I mean, this is pretty standard. I mean, like, but
I think that could go for honestly any, there's a lot of overreactions to things that happen like within locker rooms, and you never really understand the full story unless you're in there.
But I think for the fan base, it like maybe helped a little bit for like, we've got a coach. Yeah, coaches
they embraced it.
Coaches who recognize that it's different now.
Yeah. And I think that was pretty cool just to see that some of the fans they embrace it. They love that there's somebody that actually has a lot of passion and cares for the team.
They were thirsty. You hear about the Texas, the logo, the tradition, and of course they won it in 05 with Vince and played for it in 09, but there'd been about a 10-year, 12-year bubble of
long time.
1 or 2 teams that were pretty good. You became a tackling big play machine.
Yeah.
I mean, could have been as the defensive player of the year in the Big 12.
Yeah.
What was it about? Was that just one more year older, experienced, people around you that you made you better and you made them better too?
It was a ton of things. I think the biggest one for me was just like I was saying, we came off of a pretty bad year for us, and it was just all the motivation, to light a fire underneath not just me but the whole team. And I was just one guy that didn't have a lot of I didn't make a lot of noise a year previous, and so coming out there, I finally earned the starting role, and I just was given the opportunity, and I just tried to make the most of it.
You had one of the, it was a gigantic defensive line, first of all. Gigantic, but which for all linebackers makes it really you're going to get some tackles because, and again, Blacking Sweat alone, that's two guys.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it one-on-one. You really aren't. Yeah. How much was that just fun to be like, oh, look, well, here comes the running back, and I got him now.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I think the funniest thing to me was not only were they taking on the blocks, but they were getting off the blocks and making the tackle before I could get there. So, but having Murphy and having Sweat, having those guys, and being on the same team, and it was really good. It was really fun actually, and we were able to go out there and compete, and make jokes about it, have fun, and we were doing things that we hadn't done to Texas in a long time. So, all those things just played a part of in having a great experience with them guys, and creating a bond and a brotherhood that will never be broken.
So close, the Washington game, they had kind of separated, and then they kind of played with their own food for a little bit. You guys were throwing the ball in the damn end zone to maybe win it. And then 1 yard line against Ohio State. How is that? Do you just feel like sometimes teams have to go through that to get to the next level, or is that?
Absolutely. I think there's two ways to look at it. You could look at it one way as we got to the same spot and lost 2 years in a row, or you could look at it like we got to the same spot 2 years in a row, but it happened to be playing for a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a Texas fan, the fact that we're even in that position 2 years back to back, that's a positive sign to me, because like you said, it was a 10 plus year bubble of Texas teams, quite frankly being mediocre or not living up to expectations. And so I think this is just the beginning of something that I think is going to be special. And Sark was able to come in there, and he brought in a group of coaches that have helped him establish what seems to be something that's going to work for a long time. So
you are a group of players who, because you mentioned Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah.
You knew about Ashton Jeanty before all of us knew about Ashton Jeanty. Craig, our other co-host, Smokey's son, because of the Earl Campbell Award, knew about Ashton a couple years ago, and he was one of the ones beating the drum of this kid is a badass.
Yeah.
We need to start paying attention to him a little bit more. What was it? When did you know this kid is different?
So I didn't get to see him. I would come back to watch them games when I was in college. But when I was there, I think he had just come from. I can't remember where he came from. I want to say he was somewhere else. He wasn't playing football a lot because he's moving around, and his dad was in the military.
That's right. Yeah.
And so he had a great story, and he just came out there. He was just out of nowhere. Ashton Jeanty came out there, and we didn't know where to put him. And so they would just move him around. The funniest, the story I'll always remember is we were in the playoffs and we're playing Highland Park. And, out of nowhere, we need one of our big guys needed a break at nose. So here comes Ashton Jeanty playing nose. He was in the zero, head up on the center, and he goes in there and he runs around and he gets a sack. And, that story will always stick with me because, nobody knew the Ashton Jeanty that there is now back then, but you could kind of tell he was going to be special even then. Just to be able to go out there and make a play at the D line, and he's 5'9", 200 pounds maybe. So I think that was just a pretty cool story and a testament to him and everything he's been able to accomplish now.
From Lone Star High School to runner-up for the Heisman Trophy, and absolutely could have won it too if it wasn't for this once-in-a-lifetime player also in Travis Hunter.
And I'm just I know back home there, they can't wait to put all his accolades and everything up on them walls. But, he deserves everything that's coming for him. He didn't, he could have after his junior or his sophomore year, I mean, he could have went somewhere else, you know, for NIL.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had him on 2 or 3 times. Yeah, he just loyalty meant a lot of things to him.
You know what I'm saying? He wanted to make a mark at his school that he started with, and guys like that, they don't come around too often, and so I think, you know, he deserves everything that's coming his way, and I'm really excited and proud of him. So.
Well, you're recovering. Rehab is not easy. It's lonely, probably. It's kind of monotonous and tedious, but we wish you the best of luck and
appreciate it.
And going through that. You'll just every day, right?
Keep chopping wood.
every day, just keep stacking things on top of each other. Good luck. Your last year at Texas, man. You know, not that you weren't pretty good before, but you were dominant.
I'm looking to build on that now. You know, in the NFL. You know, I just finished my rookie year, so hopefully there's, you know, more opportunities and, you know, better things to come.
Jaylen Ford, University of Texas, Lone Star High School in Frisco, and also with the New Orleans Saints with us in New Orleans.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
If you want quality and personalized service for all your air conditioning and heating needs, call Tradesman Services. They're a family-owned and operated company that has served Texans for over 30 years. Tradesman offers maintenance plans starting at just $12 per month and a free service call for all new customers. They're also experts in geothermal design, installation, and service. Visit them online at coolingwaco.com.
Cars priced right, day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
Jaylen Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Jaylen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Here's Barkley, a little shovel, looking for an edge, gets it, Saquon, Barkley, first down, Barkley, Saquon, touchdown.
Live from Radio Row for Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, this is 365 Sports. Radio Row coverage is brought to you by Jaylen Samuels House of Travel, the official travel sponsor of 365 Sports. Now, here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
Harper, the second with us, Oregon. Offensive lineman, you can't tell, right? You're going to play offense, you're in the trenches. What's this like? I mean, I know you got your future. You're going to know in the next, 3 months or so, but what is all of this like today?
It's different for sure. I mean, offensive linemen naturally as a position, they don't have opportunity like this. So for me to be, blessed with opportunity like this, it's just a real moment for real. I'm seeing a lot of guys who, I grew up watching things like that. I seen Cam Jordan. I seen Mark Ingram walking through here. I'll probably bump into Christian Gonzalez from time to time, an old teammate of mine. So it's good to see some guys that I haven't seen in a while.
Marcus, you were playing for one of the most interesting coaches in the country in Dan Lanning.
Absolutely. Interesting is a great way to describe him.
He has a great year. All of a sudden, Alabama's open, and he basically said no before anybody could ask.
Yeah.
What did that mean to you guys to not hear, like, coaches say no about things all the time.
Absolutely.
He kind of said it in a different fashion that was like, no, I'm 10 toes down in Oregon.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, especially with the landscape of college football and coaches kind of getting sold around like hotcakes nowadays, it was cool to kind of get a guy who, he's standing on what he said. He came in originally, he was like, this is where he wants to build out, start his legacy and things like that as a coach. And, I mean, he's staying true to that. Like, everything that he said he was going to do, he's been able to do in a short amount of time. And so that just shows who he is as a man, his character and things like that. And I appreciate him because, I'm going to be honest, I didn't want to go through another coaching change. He had a pretty great program that he set up for us, so I was all for it.
So since the last game, which I know didn't end the way you guys wanted to with Ohio State, but since that time, is it just buckle down? You got people telling you where to go. You got workouts. Well, but I've heard that. You got a regiment.
Yeah, no, it's real tight knit. I mean, fortunately, Oregon wasn't too different from what I'm doing now. So I mean, it's not that much different from my lifestyle that I already previously used to live. But I mean, it's real tight knit. Again, we're waking up at a certain amount of time. Lee has us on a real tight regimen and things like that. But waking up at a certain time, eating certain things, you only get a certain amount of times where you can, kind of, have a cheat meal and things like that. But yeah, it's real tight, real regimented. But I mean, on the other side of discipline, you're gonna get what you want. So, I mean, I'm all for it.
Marcus, what was the difference, Pac-12 to Big Ten this year? Was it stark, or the Pac-12 a year ago was really good?
I'm about to say, I mean, look at the Pac-12 last year, and when you broke us apart, 2 out of the 4 conference champions and the Power 4 were previous Pac-12 champion, or previous Pac-12, opponents. So, I mean, the Pac-12, I think, notoriously wasn't looked at, as big as a dominant conference. But I mean, what each individual school was able to do in their first year in the new conference, I mean, speaks, relative to what Pac-12 was. But I mean, I would just say your trenches were a lot different for sure. But I knew that's where Oregon possessed a different flavor that we added to the Big Ten, which is why we came in. We were so dominant our first year.
The last year of the Pac-12 was a hell of a year. The quarterback play was unbelievable.
Absolutely.
And you had the run. Washington plays for the national title.
Yeah.
What was it like as a player when things were starting to fall apart when USC and UCLA announced they were leaving?
Yeah, I mean, you looked at it. I think when they did that, we were at the start of, like, our season. It was very early on. And so you kind of look around and you kind of just guess, like, oh, what would be cool? Then you start going back to 2014 when NCAA was out. So you start thinking about all these dream matchups. You got Oregon versus Michigan State. And so you think about it, whatever. And then once you see that it's a reality, you're like, oh, shit, like, you could really, okay, this is a real thing. And then the schedule popped out, and you were like, okay, you got Oregon versus Illinois, Oregon versus Michigan State, Oregon versus Ohio State, all these different schools. And you're like, oh, this is a real, real deal. And it was cool for me because a Chicago kid, mostly growing up and seeing Midwest football, went out to the West Coast, and now I get to come back my last year of college football and play, in Big Ten football. It was a surreal moment, big thing.
Best sports city in America, Chicago. Absolutely best sports city.
Absolutely.
It's the best sports city in America. You guys, you got to play with a couple different quarterbacks who were both really good, similar-ish, but different.
Very different, yeah.
And Bo Nix, who Kenny Dillingham kind of like turned the light on with him.
Absolutely.
And then this year with Dylan Gabriel, a guy who is, am I wrong in saying he is just the ultimate gamer? Like, if it is on, he's never bored.
No, absolutely not. Dylan, and I think that's the uniqueness about both individuals, because Bo was so, like, I don't want to say, let's say stoic. Bo was so, like, very tight and about his business, and his fun showed through his play. Dylan was fun, and his play showed, like, his fun was also showed throughout his play as well. And it's two different personalities. Like, they're both top-tier quarterbacks, amazing, both Heisman finalists, whatever. But they both are, like, it's cool to see, like, there's literally more than one way to skin a cat. You know what I'm saying? And so that was great to kind of be a part of that, see, how Bo went about his business, see how Dylan went about his business, and they both kind of ended up with the same result. So it was great to watch those guys both work week in and week out.
When you played Ohio State the first time, I always thought you might have to play them again.
Yeah.
Not only for the Big Ten championship, but again, my goodness, who knows? But when they beat you, and they beat you pretty bad, I'm not bringing that up, but could you tell they were a different team and were on a completely different level?
Yeah, I mean, you looked at how they played Tennessee the first time, and we were like, okay, we knew that they weren't going to come in here and just kind of lay down and kind of give it to us, but we knew what we needed to bring, and we knew what we could bring too, because again, we had beat them before. We just got our momentum out a little bit later than they got theirs out. And it sucks because, again, like, that's a new landscape of college football. Like, you see how quickly you don't get a quarter and a half to figure it out, and you're in the playoffs. Like, you got to come out swinging or you're done. Like, your season is done. And it was a kind of a surreal moment because it was like, dang, like, college football, that's it. Luckily, I had the Big Ten championship. I had something to, like, kind of hang my hat on for the season. But, like, Penn State, for example, like, they don't have nothing to essentially commemorate the season on. And that's just how the landscape of college football is. But I mean, it was crazy just to be like, just like that. Like, college football's over with, dog.
Yeah, that's got to be a very, like, bittersweet moment because you've accomplished something that you set out to do, but it's like
it's done.
Yeah, I mean, like, you might get to play with some of these guys again, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see a lot of the guys, crossing paths and stuff like that. But I mean, that team will never be the same ever again. You'll never play with those guys ever again, and you'll play with different variations of those guys. But I won't have Tez Johnson. I won't have Dylan Gabriel. I won't have Josh Connolly, and I won't have Jeffrey Bossa, And it's like, it's not now that you're realizing, like, we knew how special we were. Like, I'm not saying that, but you see guys have individual success. He was like, dang, like, we really should have achieved something a lot bigger.
Yeah. You decided to come back for that,
yes.
right? I mean, because there was talk of you going out last year.
Yeah.
What would you say to players on the benefit of staying, not just for NIL or whatever, but of staying and being in a spot for a few years? Like, there are a lot of hit and run lovers in college football, and I get some of that.
Yeah.
But, like, there is something to say about I'm here. Well, and just because it's going to make you better if you don't have to move, and moving sucks.
Moving sucks, yeah. How I always looked at it. Now, this is just for me. Now, everyone's situation is different, so I'm not knocking the transfer portal and things like that. But I think you have to honestly sit and evaluate your personal, like, where are you at as a football player. And I think for me, the best situation was for me to stay in Eugene and kind of not jump ship just because something looked inconvenient at the time. I kind of played the long game a little bit. And once I did that, I was able to reap the benefits of it, Big Ten championship, all conference, 3 years, no sacks, all these different things that a lot of guys just, you just don't know if you're so, you're just selling quick. Again, it's different per situation, but I know for me and what I had going on, that was what was best for me.
You know that the bio, strong, intelligent, twitchy, technically sound, versatility, but these are the words. We just had a guy that owns a bunch of businesses.
Yeah.
And he used the word relentless.
Yes.
Which is your work ethic.
Yes.
And as long as you keep that.
Yes.
No matter what your career is or later, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel that I've had a lot of people tell me that, and I sense that within myself. And that's kind of why I keep, the people around me, you gotta be cut a certain way, because I can't lose this, this focus, this relentlessness, because this is I feel like everyone has it, everyone doesn't, so it's something special that I got. So,
What was the adversity of the Mario Cristobal coaching change? Because it's tough to do that, because that's the guy you wanted to play for.
Yeah.
And there's not many better at coaching offensive linemen than him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very, very good at it. And then he's gone, and you've got to kind of react to that.
Yeah. It kind of left you in a state of uncertainty, but I mean, for me, I kind of put the pressure on myself. Like, you have to perform, you have to pop on the scene right now. Like, if not, they got a bunch of different guys that, Lanning knows and things like that. And it's real easy to get lost in the shuffle. So it was hard for sure, because it was like, you just don't know what this guy's about, what you're built like, all these other different things. But, I mean, I rose to the occasion for sure, and I rose to the challenge. So
You're about to be a pro.
Yeah.
You're going to go and you're probably going to have a coach fired.
Absolutely.
And guess what? You don't get to jump in the portal if you're under contract.
Exactly.
Like, you have to do that. So I think it speaks a lot to you to, like, realize that like, look, my goal is this. I can't, just run from it. Yeah.
And that's another thing too. Like, I've been able to persevere and stick through a lot of stuff that a lot of guys, because they made a decision out of, like, just instinct. They didn't think it through. Whereas me, I can able to kind of keep a kill shot on it and kind of just persevere through it and eventually get to my goal. So
the draft is in late April. Does it matter to you where you go? I mean, I'm sure you have preferences, but is it interesting you don't know where you're going to go?
Yeah, it is for sure, because is opposite. In high school, I had the opportunity to pick and choose where I wanted to go. Now a team is, essentially betting on me and seeing, what value that I hold and bring to their team. And I know I'm very valuable. I know a lot of offensive linemen don't do what I do. They can't do what I do, and they haven't done it for the amount of time that I've been able to do it. So that's just what's the value that I bring. And then I'm a great locker room piece, too. Like, I like having fun with the guys in the locker room and things like that. So
we have to do a quick rapid-fire Chicago quiz then.
All
right. Okay. What's the best pizza?
Deep dish pizza, for sure.
Okay.
Lou Malnati's.
Okay, Lou Malnati's.
Yes.
Okay. Chicago dog. Yes
Portillo.
or no?
Yes or no, Portillo's.
Portillo's, okay.
Yeah.
What's the best Italian beef?
Ooh, next question. Next question.
He doesn't want to commit.
Next question.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cubs or White Sox?
Sorry, Cubs.
Be careful.
Okay, no, that's fine. Oh, there we go.
South side.
Okay. All right. And see, the other thing is you don't have to it's like Blackhawks, it's Bulls, and it's the Bears. So there you go. Yeah.
But I mean, Chicago. I mean, that's my city, man. I love me some Chicago, man. It's an underrated city for football, I would say for sure. But I mean, if you just like going out and exploring, the Midwest for sure, go to Chicago.
It's a great community city.
Great community city.
Like people like hanging out with each other.
And people love Chicago. Yeah. A lot of people. I wouldn't leave Chicago if I didn't have to. So yeah.
Good luck. We appreciate your time. It's been great to get to know you, Marcus, and all of that's ahead of you. And be who you are.
Absolutely.
Don't ever let anyone change you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank
Appreciate
you so much.
it.
Thank you.
Again, Marcus Harper II, Oregon offensive lineman, NFL draft pick. This is 365 Sports in New Orleans.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
If you want quality and personalized service for all your air conditioning and heating needs, call Tradesman Services. They're a family-owned and operated company that has served Texans for over 30 years. Tradesman offers maintenance plans starting at just $12 per month and a free service call for all new customers. They're also experts in geothermal design, installation, and service. Visit them online at coolingwaco.com.
Cars priced right, both day and night. At Richard Car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. At Richard Car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. At Richard Car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. At Richard Car in Waco, Texas.
Jaylen Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Jaylen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
There's Barkley, a little shovel, looking for an edge, gets it, Saquon, Barkley, first down, Barkley, Saquon, touchdown.
Live from Radio Row for Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, this is 365 Sports. Radio Row coverage is brought to you by Jaylen Samuels House of Travel, the official travel sponsor of 365 Sports. Now, here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
Back at Radio Row, New Orleans, Super Bowl 59. There is a game, by the way, coming up on Sunday between the Chiefs and the Eagles. We sometimes forget about that because of this madness of NFL Radio Row. Paul Catalina, David Smoak, former Florida State star Pat Carter, NFL. Came by yesterday with Tony White, one of my great friends ever in the communications business. And you got a book out. And, oh, by the way, I told you we had some random guy that's a Florida State alum.
Hey, he's right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Man, JT on there.
He's top shelf.
4-year starter.
Yes, sir.
And so in your history with Florida State, the run to where they got to be, the dominance, the great rivalry with Miami and Florida, give us a little idea about your book.
Well, this book it touches on that. It talks about falling short to Miami, but some of the friends I made, Melvin Bratton, but it doesn't stop there. It carries over into the NFL. Talks about me getting drafted by the Lions, then eventually being traded to the Rams, and then it talks about my free agency going to Houston. But it's all done through poems, and there are life lessons that happen along the way, and people will be able to grasp some of the lessons that I experienced.
You got to play for, obviously I'm a little bit biased, but and I'm sure you are too.
Yes.
But not just one of the great coaches, but one of the great human beings to ever be in football.
Yes.
In Bobby Bowden. I need to know, because I ask everybody this, what was your Bowden recruiting story? Did he do the dishes? That was kind of his move.
No, when I tell you this story, this will tell you Bobby Bowden. Bobby Bowden came up with a rule my 5th year, my senior year. I was a 4-year senior. 5th-year seniors didn't have to practice spring football. Now, I'm letting you know I'm hot because I played more than all of those guys. So I set up a meeting to go into Coach Bowden, and because I wanted to get this fixed. It's not right. I'll be honest with you guys, I still don't know what he told me, but I remember standing outside of that meeting room ready to practice spring football. I'm just telling you, that's Coach Bowden in a nutshell, man.
Yeah.
He's smooth dude.
Yeah.
You guys were the first team that started the streak.
Yes.
Your senior year.
Yes, sir.
And I'm just going through that roster. Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl.
That's
and
correct.
He wasn't even the starter yet. Casey Weldon won a bunch of games. That's
right.
Yeah.
Leroy Butler's on there.
Leroy Butler.
Yeah,
Edgar Bennett.
That's correct.
Lawrence Dawsey.
Yeah.
Man, you guys had some dudes on the team. Odell.
Yes.
That was Odell.
Yeah. I mean, we just, obviously, the coaches assembled a great amount of talent, and they were able to push this talent together and make it a winner on the field. And some of those guys are still my buddies to this day, and that's the beautiful thing about college.
Odell is now moving kind of an off-the-field
That's
role.
correct.
Yeah, which I think is going to be great.
Yes, I'm happy for him.
There's no better ambassador for the university than him.
I would agree.
Higgins,
I always used to tell when they were making the coaching changes, I always would say, Odell comes with the furniture. So,
Every program has one or two of those guys, right? They do.
Yes.
Well, what was it like a year ago or so when Florida State ran the table and didn't get in the playoff? And of course, Jordan Travis was hurt, and that was a deadly injury too. But as an FSU alum, and they've won national titles, of course, now.
Yes.
But what was that like?
I don't think it was fair. I mean, overall, I would understand because we didn't have our best quarterback, so I could understand why they excluded us. I just didn't think it, in the sense of fairness, that we were treated properly. But it happens.
Yeah.
And and I'll be honest with you, they were going to pick Alabama over us. Let's be honest. Alabama's a popular school, so I think that's how we got jobbed. I'd call it.
You also played with Deion Sanders.
No, sir. I have a poem in my first book called All-American Poet, and the name of that poem is He Played With Me. Because that's that is often misconstrued.
Yeah.
And no, I was there. I was already starting when he arrived on campus.
What was he like when he arrived on campus?
He was a flashy, cocky little dude, but when we got because we started playing basketball, you could see that he was a phenomenal athlete because he could play basketball, and he was a baseball player. But he was a really cool guy. I mean, I ain't got nothing, because me and him been cool. I mean, he and I used to play Atari together. I was my Atari buddy. Yeah, I was my Atari buddy.
I've heard some stories about, because I used to work in Intermurals when I was there.
All right. Oh, yeah.
So I used to work in Intermurals.
Yeah.
When I started, they, Coach Bowden had finally, like, dropped the hammer on, you can only play intramural softball. That was the only thing you would let them play.
Oh, they changed that?
Because of the basketball teams that you guys had.
Oh, right.
And literally it's in the manual of, like, they show a picture. It's like you and Leroy Butler and like all these good, like, there were like 3 teams that like essentially rotated. And they're like, you can't do it because the frats are getting destroyed.
That's correct.
And
They
then
were.
somebody would like break a finger or something like that. And he would go, how? And they're like, oh, well, I was dunking. And he's like, why are you dunking a basketball? You know, and then he couldn't do spring football because it was right after football season.
That's true. That's true.
How were those intramural basketball teams?
And it was really intense because, I mean, we had some I'm talking about phenomenal football players that played basketball. Yeah. Hassan Jones, he was a receiver. He played in the NFL a few years. He could have been on the basketball team. But we had you guys remember Jamie Dukes? He was offensive lineman.
Yeah.
He became a talk show host in Atlanta.
He was doing some talk shows as well. But you see him as a big, heavy-set guy, but he's out there leading the point. He's a point guard handling it. I'm just telling you, you'd have to see it to understand what I'm talking about.
I grew up Nebraska fan. Florida State, Nebraska had some good ones.
Big.
And Florida State, when Bowden took over, they would go play anyone on the road.
That's
Notre Dame, go to Norman, go to Lincoln, go to wherever, because they had to. They had to be. That was the way to kind of get players.
Program.
Yeah. What was kind of that moment where you were able to have some of the fruits of the labor off of that.
Right, I did.
But they had to go do that because they really were coming out of darkness.
That's correct. They were. Now, I'm glad you mentioned the Nebraska because I wanted to share this story. The Nebraska fans are the most awesomest fans I've ever, in my 4 years of college. We go there, I think it was 85, and we played them. I mean, it was hot on the field. I do remember that, it was hot. But the one thing I remember about that game, we won the game, but I've never been to a stadium where the opposing fans stood and clapped for us. And I'll never forget that.
I have a theory about that.
Okay.
Back then, they were always happy because they won 10-11. They kind of had the great run, but they're not as happy now lately. But I think that still happened. Mac Brown mentioned that in 1998. Ricky Williams, the year he won the Heisman, they went to Lincoln, snapped a 47-game win streak there, and as they were leaving the field, they all got up and gave Texas a standing ovation.
Oh, wow. But I think we can beat Mac Brown because we did it in 85.
You guys did it. But the schedule they played and who they won, they didn't know all of them, but they had to do that to get the attention.
Coach Bowden kind of considered himself a road warrior. As a matter of fact, we have it's called a cemetery, sod cemetery, where if we go on the road, if we go on the road and we were underdogs and win, we'd take the sod back with us and put it in the cemetery, in the sod cemetery.
I bet that baby was full.
It's a few names in there. It's a few names in there.
Look, I go and light a candle by the side cemetery around there. That's those are some great times. You also were part of the Punt Rooski game?
No, sir.
You were.
I was in the NFL.
You were in the NFL then?
Yes.
But was the Punt Rooski game? Do you think that Clemson win that next year, that kind of maybe spurred them on because Clemson was number 3?
Yeah, but you remember now they lost to Miami that opening game.
Yeah.
I mean, got smashed. I was embarrassed. I really was embarrassed. I was happy that they won that game, and obviously they finished strong because I remember I think it was Auburn or somebody they beat in a bowl game. Yeah. But Coach Bowden built that team, built that program, and I was just I'm really happy and thankful to have been a part of that. Well, really.
When did you start? When did poetry become part of your life? It is. A lot of people can write. A lot of people can write, and it's a hard thing to do anyway. Poetry is its own thing.
It is.
It's something that it kind of has to live in you before you know it. It's there, right?
And absolutely. And it's funny. I've been getting this question a lot, and I realized I wrote a poem about 20 years ago, and I was supposed to recite it, and I got up to recite it, but I didn't take it with me. I tried to remember it, and I didn't memorize it, and I fumbled it. So I kind of stayed away from poetry for a little while, and then maybe in the last 10 years, I might write a poem and post it on my Facebook page, and man, I didn't realize I had a gift until the response and the feedback I was getting.
This is maybe me not being educated enough about poetry, whatever. How long is too long of a poem? How long is there a standard length?
Well, no, because they're different ways. All my poems rhyme. Some other people don't rhyme with their poems.
Right.
And it's a feel, because for me, when I'm writing, and it's just once it's flowing and once the flow's, it's like a faucet. It turns off. I guess this is where it ends at. You know?
Yeah. That's unbelievable. You also, when you coached in the NFL, you coached with Rod Marinelli.
Correct.
And we got to know Rod Marinelli when he was with the Cowboys.
Great man.
I don't know if I've ever met a coach who played, like, if he said, you need to, these hot coals, broken glass, a brick wall. Charles Tillman told us he would jump off a building if Rod Marinelli said that was going to help you win.
And I would agree with you. And to be on his staff, I'm so thankful he gave me an opportunity to coach with him in Detroit. But the unfortunate thing is, his philosophy was awesome. We just didn't have the players to perform it.
Yeah.
And that was the unfortunate thing, because I felt so bad, like he deserved to have this nod. He just didn't have the players that could support his dream or his ideals. On that team, though, was the head coach now for the Lions, Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
I was his position coach.
Oh, yeah.
And let me tell you about this guy. Incredible dude. Hard worker. But the one thing I'll never forget about Dan actually played in a couple games with one arm. And I think that is you go back and look at that. He had I think it was his tricep, if I remember right. It's been a minute. But I knew he was out there with one arm battling. And I mean holding his arm. I mean catching passes with one arm. Still one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
His intensity is unbelievable. He got smoked by Washington, which was shocking. But you see that intensity when you see him on the sideline. That's the guy you remember as a player.
That's correct. He stepped from the player into the coach. Yeah, ideal. He's ideal for the position.
Some people do that stuff, and you can tell it's phony.
That's
right?
correct.
You can tell it's phony.
That's correct. But you can also tell the ones that care.
Yeah.
And he is one of those.
You know what's funny is his first press conference, and he's from Clifton, Texas, so it's right right near where we are. So everybody I knew that knew Dan Campbell, like when he had that first press conference, and everybody's kind of making fun of him, and they're like, "Oh, I was like, no.
Yeah, they did.
This guy lives this.
Those same people now that made those kneecap jokes.
Oh, they're all they would take Dan Campbell as the head coach of their team in 2 seconds.
Thank you.
Boom.
Thank you.
Yeah, we want to let's bite some kneecaps in our city.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
That's
you got
right.
it. You got it. You got it.
Bad dude.
Yes, sir. Bad dude. That was me in high school. Yeah, I talk about myself a little bit in high school because we didn't throw the ball, but had we thrown the ball, we could have probably been more productive. I only had 11 catches in high school, but I averaged 27 yards a catch.
That's pretty good.
Dude.
Yeah, that's a bad dude.
That's a bad dude.
So Sarasota
Riverview, that's
right?
correct.
I'm from Fort Myers. So
sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
I went to Bishopville High School, Little Catholic High School.
I know that. Booker High School used to be our rivalry back then. Sarasota Booker.
Yeah.
So I remember.
Cardinal Mooney was our big big rivalry.
That's true.
Cardinal Mooney was, but Sarasota Bradenton. Some of the best players in the history of college football have come out of there. Peter Warwick came out of
you Southeast. You mean Southeast?
Southeast,
yeah.
But Tommy Frazier came out of there.
Oh, that's Manatee. Yeah. You're talking about Bradenton. You're right. I'm sorry.
But Sarasota, Bradenton,
the area. You're talking about. Phenomenal talent. Yes.
You know.
But I could go back older than me. Jimmy Dubose. I think he still has some of the Florida Gator running back records. Then there was another guy, Tony Green. He played. He was. I know he made the Pro Bowl as rookie as a kick returner for the Redskins. Barry Redding. Barry Redding was a first-round pick for the Rams. That's obviously the following year they brought in Dickerson. They moved Barry to fullback. You know, but talent is talent late in place. Yes,
Are the poems that you wrote in this book,
Yes,
or
sir.
you mentioned personal experiences? Is this like you met Michael Jordan?
Yes.
Terry Crews.
Yeah, Terry Crews, and you see that's Terry Crews there, and that's me.
Yep.
I'm 88 right there. Yeah, that's me.
That's awesome, man.
It's been a heck of God has been good to me. He's given me a wonderful life.
Terry Crews is tiny by his current standard in that picture.
Now he is, but man, let me tell you about him, man. He used to blow up practice. I hated him because I was usually the recipient of him blowing up the practice. But I never was mad with him because he was a young fella playing hard, trying to find his way. So I knew he wasn't being malicious with it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Larry Sanders was a great friend of mine.
That's my boy. That's my man.
From Tatum, Texas.
That's correct.
Which is Stephen F. Austin, where I went to school.
That's correct. I drove up there and visited him one time. I used to live in Houston, and I drove up and visited.
Yeah, this is awesome. All right, it's called The 4-Year Starter, Wendell, Patrick, Carter, Curry Brothers, is that right?
That's the publishers, yes.
This is kind of an old school hardback, which I love that.
Okay.
It doesn't. Well, the reason it kind of folds or whatever. This is you put it in whatever the shelf and it's there forever.
That's correct.
You can't get rid of this book.
But now,
this
is my original one.
All-American Poet.
That's correct. That talks about my days at Florida State University.
Yep. This is awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. And how did you get to know Tony?
L.A. Rams.
Okay, yeah.
Rick Smith.
Yep.
Rick
Smith was one of the best.
Is the best.
Yeah, Rick Smith was. I'll never forget. They used to have a commissioner's party, and I mean it was spectacular. And I don't know if they just do it, but they don't let anyone know about it. But it was lavish. And I remember every year I'd ask for a couple of passes to the commissioner's party. And one time Rick finally said, "I think you've had too many years you've been to the commissioner." We went back and forth. I should have told him I know Tony.
Right.
But man, that was an unbelievable night. Usually Friday night, it was always, like going to the Academy Awards or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I love your energy, buddy.
Thank you.
Don't ever lose that energy.
Thank you.
I love it. I know he's happy.
I'm thrilled.
Yes.
I'm thrilled.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me.
Pat Carter with us. Again, the book, 4-Year Starter, and also All-American Poet. This is 365 Sports at Super Bowl Radio Row 59.
Well, man, what a day. What a day. I'm sorry that Smokey didn't get here to be here to wrap it up with us today.
Right.
But he's really only gone for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Wasn't bad. I mean, we hope he's feeling better. I can't wait for dinner tonight. I hope he gets to go because I think he'll really like this place. I cannot recommend it highly enough. If you're ever in New Orleans, we're going to Toop's Meadery.
I'm excited, man.
You know what we did not talk about was the media party was last night.
Yes.
And I think if you've seen me on the air today, I have availed myself very well.
You did better than I expected.
Uh-huh.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you held it like a champ last night.
I did. I tried to get Emery a new girlfriend as hard as I could. Didn't work out. But there's always another day.
Yep.
And so, we've decided to start calling him Bronco. I don't know if people know that, but, he is and I think the nickname's going to stick.
Oh, it's sticking.
It's going to stick. So,
and Bronco's got some badass dance moves.
He does, yeah.
He can get down.
He is very, very lucky I did not show the video that I took of him.
I got a good one,
two
too.
different videos I took of him dancing.
I got a good one of Bronco. Like, up close.
But he is now just finding out that I
right
did.
in the grill, the camera, like he's vibing in the video.
All of mine are from, just the back.
Oh, I got like him looking right at the camera, saying it's a Fats Domino, just getting it.
Yeah, they had a absolutely amazing New Orleans
it was awesome.
blues band last night, and it was great. The food was out of this world.
What was the best thing you had there?
Oh, my gosh. I'm going to say I know yours is boudin egg rolls.
Boudin egg rolls. I have a feeling I know what yours is.
It was the jerk chicken dirty rice from Aphrodisiac. That was very good, but I honestly did have the best jambalaya
That's where I thought you were going to go.
I've ever had, and jambalaya is maybe my favorite Cajun thing, but I like them all. charbroiled oysters, which we did the other night.
Those other night.
Yeah. No, I ate 12 of mine, and I think 4 of you guys. So, Garrett, I ate Garrett's share, essentially.
You did. I wussed out. I have tried oysters multiple times, and I haven't attempted the charbroiled kind, and I kind of regret giving how y'all describe the texture. Mm-hmm. So, in hindsight, I would probably take a bite of it. But, yeah, those looked really good. I did have some of the sauce that it was marinated in on the bread, and that was phenomenal. So, if I wasn't afraid of the texture, I would have got in on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just so great. But I sound like Jimmy Fallon. So great. So great. Oh, my gosh. I love what you're doing. No. All right. I get the hiccups now. Right at the end of the show. Tomorrow, loaded tomorrow. Probably get Dozier in tomorrow. Thurman Thomas, Darren Woodson, Dylan Stewart, Jermichael Finley, Dante Hall, Brian Baldinger.
And the Hispanic
broadcasters. The Telemundo team. Rolando Cantu and Miguel Gerwitz. They were with us last year.
Phenomenal.
And they're great. They're funny. They're really, it's great. So the Telemundo broadcast team, they'll be with us tomorrow as well. And we don't know what else we'll get because we got a couple things today randomly, including Marshall Newhouse, who I believe is going to be a regular guest on the show.
Great.
He was so fantastic and so good. I'm glad that just kind of it happened. It happens upon you.
Yeah.
They said, "Hey, would you guys like Marshall Newhouse?" We're like, "Yeah, sure." Former TCU guy.
You said TCU. I was like, "Well, that's perfect.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Sit him down. Let's go." And he was fantastic. I think you'll see a lot more of him on our show.
Oh, yeah.
I think you'll see a lot more of Marshall Newhouse on the show. That's going to do it for us. There's no top 5 because, I don't have my. I can't. It's just. What am I supposed to do? Anyway, we're all back tomorrow. We'll see you then, everybody. Have a great night.